Greetings, fellow humans. You know me as Iceman Caesar, and this is what's up in the world today. A little bit of a change of scenery since I'm home alone this Christmas. Figured I'd bring things up here into the light, even though it kind of looks darker on the video, but doesn't matter. I think this is a better look for it anyways. So up here and got the beautiful scenery behind, beautiful scenery Regina behind me, but this is going to be a long one because this is the 50th episode of What's Up in the World Today. You know, when I started, definitely was hoping I'd get to 50, but I did not know if I'd even get past one, never mind to 50. So this is pretty cool to be at number 50, and going to be a long one because I'm going to be talking about kind of basically a little bit of a 2018 year in review and kind of a state of everything, state of Regina, the world, Canada, and a little bit, and some of my ideas for maybe how we can do things a little bit better going forward into the future. So it's going to be a long one, so you might have to break up the viewing of watching this, but definitely going to be worth it because it's good information, and I think it's fun to talk about. Always fun to kind of look back at the past year and review it. And as always, 2018 had good moments, but also had some very, very bad stuff. So it's there's a lot of negativity and a lot of bad things going on, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of reasons for hope and positivity, and so it's it's definitely overall, I'd probably say it was probably a bad year. If you had to decide between a good or a bad year, I'd say probably overall it was a bad year. But I think as long as we address the things that aren't working so well, that led us to led us to the bad things in 2018. I think we'll be able to move forward in a big way in 2019 and beyond. But I'm going to talk about all that in the video, and I definitely have to get going because this is going to be this going to be a long. Lost my page. It's definitely going to be a long video, but first I'm going to start out with talking about just kind of a little bit of a year in review. I guess I kind of got the table of contents, I guess, to start out. Going to be talking about one of the biggest stories to start out, the Humboldt Broncos. I think we need to talk about that first. Then just going to be going through the different movies, TV, music, things like that, and talking about my favorite things of the year, and just a little bit of a review of that. Then going to be talking about the other big story. I think the Humboldt Broncos bus tragedy was voted the number one news story pretty much, I think, across the board in all the and everywhere they're doing the votes. So it's that was definitely the biggest story across Canada, in some cases across the world. But the other biggest story in Canada, the legalization of cannabis, definitely going to be discussing that, and then just kind of a state of everything, state of Regina, Canada, the world, and then my ideas for kind of a better way to do things going forward into the future. So I'm going to start out with the 2018 year in review. Excuse me. I'm going to start out with the Humboldt Broncos bus tragedy. And this was just an unreal it was an unreal tragedy that became very real, obviously, for 29 people and their families, and everybody that was affected by that. But it's it's still very, very fresh in the hearts and minds of Canadians, and and it's just people of Saskatchewan, and just hockey communities, people across the world. It's just still very fresh, and just want to send prayers up for Morgan Gobey, who's still in the hospital, and still fighting strong. So we're definitely praying for his strong, full recovery. And it was awesome to see in October. Lane Matichuk was the other Bronco that was still in the hospital. He was able to finally leave the hospital in October. So that was a great blessing, and it's just this whole it's just an unbelievable tragedy, but the strength and the inspiration that the survivors and everybody, the families and everybody have shown, it's just been I mean, just words can't even describe, what it shows and what it means. So it's just been, even though it was just an unbelievable tragedy. It's just, it just shows that, even with the absolute worst tragedies, like you can try and good can come out of it in a way, and that's through the strength and support and the love of just of the survivors and the families and just everybody that's affected. But so, and speaking of inspiration, Ryan Strasnitzky and Jacob Wasserman were to see though, it was so awesome when they were able to get together on get on the ice for some sledge hockey together, and and they even threw down. That was awesome. But it's just such a. I mean, literally. These guys. I mean, obviously we don't. We don't see the. We're not seeing them 24/7. So I'm sure they have their tough moments, but it's just been unbelievable to see just their body, even just their body language. That you can tell they believe, in the words that they're speaking. They like they're, and it's I don't know. It's just you try to put yourself in other people's shoes sometimes and think, like how would I be doing things and taking things, and how would I be reacting to this if the same thing happened to me? And it's just like, it's just it's pretty incredible how strong these guys have shown themselves. So it's I'm cheering them on, big time. They've definitely brought more eyes to sledge hockey, and I think this is going to continue to grow and grow as these guys get better at it. And they're able to start showcasing the skills that they were using on the ice before, and now they can transfer some of those to to sledge hockey. I mean, there's a reason why they were in the SJHL playing for Humboldt. Like they were skilled hockey players. So it's that you don't lose that, and once you get on the sledges, it's. A lot of that transfers right over. So it's I'm excited to start watching some sledge hockey, and with the intention that's on them, hopefully they're able to bring a lot more eyes onto the sledge hockey game. And who knows, maybe even down the road there could be like a professional sledge hockey league, because it's if you're a hockey fan, it's basically it's hot. It's just a different kind of hockey to enjoy, because it's the same, the same aspects of hockey, that the speed, the physicalness, the skill, that's all there in sledge hockey. And so it's not a competition with the NHL. So I think the NHL could, it wouldn't be, I don't know, maybe the NHL would see it as competition, but I think the NHL would benefit greatly from supporting a professional sledge hockey league, so they could so there was a place for players to play, not just train for an Olympic run. A place to actually start creating a legacy, because it's just if not even a year after after the tragedy, would I be able to be out there in the public eye, and showing the kind of strength, and already getting back on the ice, and like I think I would, but it's like these guys actually are walking the walk. So it's like big props, and much love and God bless to them and their families, because definitely it's obviously a tough situation, but it looks like they're making the absolute best out of it. So they obviously have everybody's full support. And the one thing I really wanted to mention the unbelievable strength shown by the survivors' families, and the ones that passed away, all the families. Is just incredible how strong they've been, and how they've been been able to balance this, all the public attention with the need to privately grieve. And it's tough. It's like, on one hand, you just want everyone to go away, and you don't want people to use the story for clicks or whatever, or views. But at the same time, it's like you want these guys and Dana's legacy to be as big and wide as possible. So it's like, yeah, sure, bring the attention, bring the cameras, bring the stories. So it's tough, but the strength shown by all the families is just absolutely unbelievable and incredible. So I just so much love and God bless out to them, and my prayers up for the strongest, best energy out to all of them, because it hasn't even been a year, and they've showed just so much strength, and so far, like the Evan Thomas's dad, Scott. He's really kind of tried to step up and be kind of be the lightning rod to deflect some of this attention that other families might not want, and just so it's and obviously this is the worst possible thing for him. But the strength he has shown has just been, it's inspirational. So I just all the best and as much love and good energy as I can send out to them as I possibly can. And but man, the current Broncos team back on the ice, still playing hockey. They are, as when I wrote up this article, when I wrote up my notes, the current Broncos team was 21-13-2 overtime losses, 1 shootout loss, which put them second in their division, 4th in the league, which under the circumstances is absolutely incredible. The team was totally devastated. 29 people were involved in the crash, and it's just for that, I just can't believe that they're playing so well. You're hoping that the team is gonna play well and win some games, but they're actually in a position to get back in the playoffs and make some noise. So I just think obviously a long way to go. We're just at Christmas, but it is just amazing to see, and that's an inspiration as well. And you got big contributions from the surviving players that were able to return to the team. That's to be involved in a tragedy like that, and then to come back and play on the same team with. That is tough. Doesn't even describe how that would be. So just unbelievable love and energy out to those guys, because that's incredible. But Braden Cameron and Derek Patter, man, saying wouldn't be easy is an understatement, but they are. But I just can't. It's for them to be able to come back, and really step up in leadership positions it's just amazing to see. And once again, it's just an inspiration. And it's when you look at a tragedy like this, you just have to try and pull the good out of it. And one of the good things I've been able to pull out of it is the inspiration. It's like seeing these young kids, these guys still teenagers, still and all the families and then the survivors. It's just the inspiration for me. I just try and use it to push myself forward in situations in life, and it's just try to bring something good out of it. And it's just incredible, but that these two guys are able to come back and contribute as strongly as they have this season. The fact that they even came back is enough in itself. But for them to be one of the top, among the top contributors of the team is just. It's absolutely incredible. But I just I just want to send my my strongest love, energy, prayers, and all the best, strongest energy I can, healing, perseverance, just all the positive words I could think, all the best, strongest energy out to survivors, the family of both survivors and the survivors and those that passed away, and just everybody affected around the world, because there were people in the community and in Saskatchewan, Canada, and around the world hockey, all just the pain of this was felt by people around the world. So just all my strongest love and my strongest, best prayers go out to everybody that was affected by this unbelievable tragedy. So that was definitely the biggest story of the year. So I wanted to give it the respect of talking about that first. And but now moving on into going to talk about. So for right now, will be movies. I talk about some of my favorite movies of the year. I thought it was a pretty good year for at the theater actually. I thought the summer was really strong with lots of quality titles that came out, and even the early part of the year there was a lot of. I think there was a bunch of really good movies. So I was really happy with 2018 overall. I think the box office was pretty strong. It's just our local theater seems to be doing well at times, but it's really sad that they can't even afford to have. They can't even afford to have humans work in the box office anymore. It's literally the tills are all turned around, and it's just and you do it yourself because they just can't afford to pay people to just have that job. So it's I'm hoping that. I'm really hoping that the legalization of cannabis eventually opens up the door for like cannabis friendly theaters, because that will really help give theaters business. That should keep them going long term, because I don't even want to talk or mention a world without movie theaters, because that would be ridiculous and awful. But I'm always paying attention, hoping that the theater business stays strong, because I love movies so much, and I love going to the theater. And it's one of the best experiences. And this year at the theater, I thought the best movie of the year, I am going to give that to Bohemian Rhapsody. And I definitely haven't seen enough movies to have a have a legitimate voice in the best movie discussion. But for the movies that I saw, Bohemian Rhapsody, I think I have to give it to. Some parts of it may be factually incorrect, which some nice Twitter user let me know of. But it was a positive exchange. But some parts may be factually incorrect. But the changes were all positive in my opinion, and they all made for a better movie. Like one of the things that was brought up that was factually incorrect was that he knew about that he had AIDS before the Live Aid concert. In real life, I guess he found he had HIV, but he didn't know about it yet before Live Aid. So, but in the movie, it gave us that amazing scene of where he goes to the doctor, finds out, and he's walking down the hall, and there's a patient sitting on the steps, and obviously recognizes him, and Freddie walks by, and the patient is. Sorry, spoilers for anyone that hasn't seen it. It's a great scene, so just fast forward. Go ahead, 30 seconds, but patient sees Freddie, and he just gives him the "Ayo." Freddie kind of stops and looks at him. He literally, in the worst moment of his life, just learned that he's HIV positive, or he has AIDS. I forget what, but it was, but worst moment of his life. I mean, he's one of the biggest music superstars in the world, has, obviously thinking he has a lifelong career ahead of him, and now all of a sudden stopped right in his tracks. Worst moment of his life. Fan gives him and literally still gives the fan his moment, like, "Hey yo," and then keeps going. I thought that was like, even in the worst moment of his life, he still gave one of his fans their moment. And it was just, I just thought that was an incredible scene. And, that still could have been true. Like, he still could have done that, in real life when he found out. But I thought that was, man, one of the best scenes of the movie. So, even though it might not have been 100% factually correct, I think it was the best movie of the year, because it was such a fun ride. I can't wait to own it and, watch it, because I think it was truly one of the best music biopics that's ever been done. Right in the category with La Bamba and Ray and Straight Outta Compton, and obviously probably forgetting some legendary ones. But as always, blame the head, not the heart. And I think, and so I thought I'll do funniest movie of the year. Thought that I gotta give that to Deadpool 2. Man, I thought that movie was hilarious. I thought that pretty much all the humor they went for, what they nailed, and But specifically, man, like one of my favorites, one of my favorite scenes. It was literally like a flash, but I laughed for probably 2 minutes after. Like people in the theater, and, oh man, I could not stop laughing. But like it's the scene where Deadpool puts together all those ragtag superheroes like the Invisible Man, who's Brad Pitt, and Rob Delaney, and but man, when they're all coming in, they do like a zoomed out shot of like the skyline. And they're all coming into the they're all coming into the city, into the buildings, and you see, and they're all kind of doing something that shows they're screwing up. But the one guy is literally he's literally spinning like spinning around and around and around. Oh man, I could not stop laughing for about at least a legitimate 2 minutes. Like the movie kept going and I just could not stop. I thought that was so funny. But the whole movie, I mean, the reveal of his tiny legs, man, that was so funny too. It was just Deadpool 2 was really really great, and I think it was great because it's exactly what they wanted it to be. You know, like they tried it to make it a funny, and it was entertaining. Like the story was entertaining, the jokes were funny, action was good, the actors all like it was a great superhero movie. I thought it was the funniest movie of the year. They really did a great job. The one movie, so I had to create a best comic book movie because the one movie I was close to giving it best movie, but I just couldn't do it. But Black Panther, man, that movie was absolutely incredible. It is in my top 5 of best superhero movies. Both Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 are my 2 favorite superhero movies. And I just want to throw it out there that if there is a Guardians of the Galaxy that is not directed by James Gunn, you can count me out. Excuse me. I will not be showing up for that. A Guardians of the Galaxy 3 without James Gunn as director, I'm not seeing that, man. So, but I think Black Panther's up there with Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers Infinity War as the top, and probably the original Iron Man. That would probably be my top 5. But Black Panther was just incredible, man. The story was amazing. The villain was great because he was a villain, but at the same time, he really made you think about things. But Black Panther showing like if we be like you, we're exactly like who we're fighting against. There's no change. We have to be better. We have to be different. I thought that was incredible. I was watching the movie for the first time. I was really kind of like, worried about the themes, but it was just like Black Panther really shows why he's the superhero. It's just beautiful. I had really no knowledge of Black Panther before these movies started, before this movie, and other than these little cameos, and I did not know much about him, but became instantly one of my favorite superheroes. And this is one of my favorite movies, but I had to make the best comic book movie so I could talk about it. But it was just absolutely just awesome movie. Huge rewatchability factor to me. Like the story was so good, and it was just I could rewatch it all day. And it inspires so much in positivity for all people. I mean, and the best example was watching it for the first time with my little nephew, who was 9 years old, about to turn 10 at the time. But he's watching it at the end of the movie. He's like, no, we were just watching silent, hadn't talked. There was no conversation for, a long time before that. But he just was watching, the end of the movie's coming, and his first comment was, I wish Wakanda was real. Then we can help everyone. And I was just like, oh man, I had to take a minute to make sure I was composed there. I was just like, wow, that is what he got from that movie, he watches that movie and thinks like, if Wakanda was real, then we could help everybody around the world. And to me, it was already one of my favorite movies, but seeing that what kind of an impact it could have on young people, and what kind of a message it could spread, it was just, man, this is one of the best. So this is one of the best, the crown jewels of Marvel and of superhero movies, and really one of the crown jewels of movies, I think it transcends it because of the impact it can have and the great story it told and the great message it tells. So, I agree with my little buddy, my nephew. I wish Wakanda was real so we could help everyone. But really great movie, and hopefully I'll be able to. You can definitely sign me up for any sequels down the road. And and from 2018, see, like that's what I mean. I'm pretty unqualified for the best movie discussion. I still need to see from 2018 Ocean's 8, Ant-Man, the Mr. Rogers movie, Vice. That movie about Dick Cheney. It's like I could not tell from the trailer if this is a movie that's going to eviscerate him or if it's going to be kind of a positive. It's going to paint him in, and it's not going to do justice to how much of a scumbag he is. Like I couldn't really tell, so I need to learn a little bit more about this movie before I. Excuse me. Before I watch it, because if it's a movie about how much of a scumbag he is, then I'll absolutely watch it. But if it's anything less, yeah, I'll not give it the time of day. And it's a very dangerous movie because Dick Cheney is one of the most. He's absolutely willing to be the worst version of himself, and he has done some unspeakable horror things that would be not fit for. It's just. I really hope that movie is eviscerating him, but I gotta learn more before I see it. Still haven't seen Green Book, Wreck-It Ralph 2, Black Klansman. Really, that looked really interesting. I wanted to see that. The Mule. I like Clint Eastwood as an actor, so this is gonna be, might be one of his last big roles. So I'm definitely want to see this. It looks like a fun, really entertaining story. So. That's what I mean by I'm probably a little unqualified for best movie, but from the movies I saw, those were the ones that stood out. Honorable mention though from this year, Mission Impossible Fallout with I thought that was an awesome action movie, especially with the way that they started it with the Mission Impossible opening. And I missed the last couple, so I didn't. I forgot about that. The opening scenes always usually. A Mission Impossible type, one up type thing, gotcha type thing. So I was just like, oh, I totally forgot about that. So caught me by surprise, and that was a great fun way to start the movie. It was a fun movie, and I just thought thought they did a great job with it. Creed 2, awesome movie. Like this movie is going to allow the Creed to become the Rockies. I really hope they go 3, 4, 5. And as I put in my tweet, my ideas for number 3, man, something like Brock Lesnar, like that would be so much fun. Like you could have so much fun with Brock Lesnar. Put Paul Heyman in the movie. He could do all the talking, and it would just be fun. And they could choreograph some really fun fights, and bring up a story, and it's I think we need. So I think Rocky 3, I think Sylvester Stallone wants to put the Rocky character to rest in this series and wants to have him pass away, which, I would be on board with, but not in Rocky 3. I think they should go, I would do the fight with Brock Lesnar, or multiple fights in the movie if you want to, if you have them, kind of like Mirror Rocky 3. He gets lit up in the first fight and comes back to win it. Like that could be, or you could do just build up one fight. Doesn't matter, but that would be my idea for Rocky 3. And I think at the same time he should be like Bianca should start becoming a superstar on the music scene, so that it's they're definitely the Rocky and Adrian of this story, obviously. So their love story has to stay together. But I think it would be a cool dynamic for him to be the boxing superstar and her to also be a music superstar. And so and she's become a great character in this story that I think deserves her own lane in it. And so they just created a really awesome world here. And so at number 4, I think I'd have some more fun. I'd bring in Batista. And it's if you couldn't do Brock at number 3, then do Batista. He's already an accomplished. He definitely could throw hands. Wouldn't have to do much training for the sequences, and he's obviously a great actor. But Batista would kind of be a fun little red herring for the beginning of the 4th movie, and then And then you bring back Victor Drago. I thought did a great job in the Creed 2 as the as the opponent for Adonis Creed. So you do Victor. You have Victor Drago in the background of 3 and the beginning of 4. Getting ready and training and getting himself prepared for this next shot. Finally gets another shot at Adonis Creed, but I think that Apollo Creed dies in Rocky 4, and I think Rocky Balboa should die in Creed 4. But I don't think it should be some kind of heart attack, or I don't think it should be like, I think it should just be Rocky makes plans with Adonis or whatever, and goes to sleep and just, doesn't wake up the next day. And it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be one. I think it would be one of the most emotional scenes in the entire, and maybe in movie history, because Rocky Balboa is such a beloved character. To anybody that's watched these movies, he becomes your friend, your brother, your uncle, your dad, or whatever, or your best friend. Is Rocky Balboa. Rocky Balboa is everyone. It's all of us trying to work our way up from the bottom to the top. And that's why Rocky 5, everyone hates that movie and it sucks so bad. It's like you find the big bright lights and colors of Rocky 4 only to go to the dull, dreary gutter of Rocky 5. But like, so many of us lived in Rocky 5 in our real lives. Like, we don't want to watch that again. It's like, if it wasn't for the military, my life probably would have been really close to Rocky 5. I don't want to watch people arguing over debts and bills. Like, I wanted to watch Rocky Balboa at the top, reaping the benefits of his great career. So that's why Rocky 5. I mean, they wasted Tommy Gunn. Tommy Gunn would have been a great Rocky protege to go up against for Rocky to get behind, or they could have kept him the bad guy. But I just thought that Rocky 5 just was totally awful and really wasted a great character in Tommy Gunn. But I think if when Rocky Balboa finally passes away in the movies, I think that it's everyone's gonna have an emotional reaction. It's gonna be tough, and it's I think the eventual scene of his funeral. I think it would be great to do the funeral and have all these boxing real life legends come and like have Mike Tyson pay his respects, George Foreman. It's all these great boxers that are still alive. Like bring them on screen and have them pay respects at Rocky's funeral. And and my idea would a final montage would be to the Rocky theme, of just like of the legacy of Rocky, and that's gonna be people regular people ever getting in the gym and boxing for fitness and for training and for running the steps, going to Philadelphia and running the steps. And and like running outside and drinking raw eggs and just a big montage of all the legacy of everybody doing these things, and like a big just grand version of the Rocky theme. And I think you'd have people. I think you'd have people bawling, man, and that's the goal, right? To get people to feel and react to the movies. So it's I really thought they did a great job with Creed 2. It really set up a chance to make this universe. And Rocky 4 coming off in the, I'd have Rocky pass away kind of in the middle, and that when Adonis Creed would not be able to get his head together so Victor Drago would get their revenge in Creed 4 and beat Adonis Creed for the title, and then Creed 5. Who knows what they would do? I mean, and Victor Drago is not really a villain, so it's like he's the opposite of Adonis Creed. He's definitely as big as he's the Larry Bird. He's the Larry Bird to the Larry Bird and Magic Johnson dynamic. They looked at each other to be better. So it's like so that 5th movie could go either way. That's not, even though it's Adonis Creed's film. Doesn't have to go his way. It could be Victor Drago. So, but at the same time, that's the son of the guy that killed your dad. So you kind of have to win it. I think it would set up a big epic fight for Rocky 5. But those are just my ideas. Sylvester Stallone has obviously put together this. Just what can you say about the Rocky movies? Some of the greatest films in the history of films. So he knows what he's doing. I'm sure that if they want to keep this going, they'll have great ideas and great stuff. I'm really excited for it. I thought Creed 2 was awesome. And Infinity War, it was definitely That was definitely an awesome movie, one of my favorite comic book movies, and made me excited for this next one. But I've really pumped the brakes on my excitement because, based on the theories that I've tried not to read theories, but I've seen bits and pieces of what some would be, of what some people might think is coming, and based on those and what's based on those and the trailers, it's like I don't think it's gonna be in line with the way I'm thinking. So I'm just pumping the brakes on my expectations and just gonna go in and see, try to enjoy it for what they bring, because it's me. I'm really hoping that the Hulk redeems himself and is able to and kicks the shit out of Thanos, and it is one of the reasons why they are able to defeat Thanos and reverse what he did. But I don't think it's going that way. I've seen some theories that are just like some of them were like, man, I really hope that's not what's going on. But I'm excited for Endgame. That is the next one, so it's gonna be one of those event movies. I love big event movies, so it's gonna be fun to watch for sure. Rampage, The Rock's movie. I really thought they screwed up release dates. I thought Rampage was an awesome movie that made me want to see more because they did such a good job with the CGI. But I think that if Rampage was released in August, it would have probably made double what it made in box office, because there was really nothing in August, and Rampage was an awesome, fun movie that I think it would have been able to find some traction and have some legs in the August season when there wasn't really much left in theaters. I mean, it would have competed a little bit with Mission Impossible, but two different kind of movies. So I think they made a mistake with their release dates. But The Rock always is pumping out movies with his film company, and it's he's passionate about every single one. You could tell, like when he's working on one, he's always passionate about that movie, promoting it and putting all of his time and effort into it. And so I mean, he gives us lots of entertaining, fun movies to watch. So I'm a big fan of his production company, and I'm hoping that, I'm looking forward to the stuff that they're bringing next in 2019, like the movie about Paige's family. That's going to be fun to watch. So, but Rampage, I think, just could have been it's a great fun movie. If you haven't seen it, man, go out of your way, because I really think you'll enjoy it. And Solo, the Star Wars story, or the Star Wars movie. It's I think it would be crushing right now in this holiday season. There's not many big. I mean, there's Aquaman, but I thought I think they made a mistake with putting Star Wars where they did. Even though that was the traditional spot, and I wanted all the movies there. The Christmas thing just created such a good family vibe. At least with the first one, Force Awakens. I mean, The Last Jedi was just so awful that it we're not gonna talk about that. Rogue One was awesome in Christmas. Another family, it created that family vibe. But I think Solo would be doing the box office it should have done, because it was a really good movie. I'm hoping that eventually we'll be able to get some sequels, because the cast did a good job, and it was it wasn't the best Star Wars movie, but at least it was a Star Wars movie. So. And I want to run through quickly 2019 we got coming, like I said, Avengers Endgame, and I'm pumping the brakes on my expectations, but I'm still really looking forward to it. So I'll definitely be there opening weekend to see what kind of conclusion this brings to. Captain Marvel in March, you can count me in for that. Doing a little research into the character for the winter movie preview. I did, got me interested in the character and the movie. So I'll be there definitely watching this one in theaters. Toy Story 4, yup. The Lion King live action, yup. Aladdin live action, like, ugh. I want to love this movie. I want to say yup, but man, like, when they announced Will Smith is going to be the genie, I thought, perfect. It's like, and I was really excited to see what kind of CGI character, like how they were going to be able to bring the big blue genie to life in the live action thing. I was like, that was one of the things I was looking most forward to in these live action movies, and they're not even doing it. It's just Will Smith as himself, like, Man, like, this is such a tough spot, man. Like, Will Smith is my boy. I got so much love for him. I'll support him in anything. But like, I really want to just not. I really want to just turn my back on this movie, but it's got my boy Will Smith, so I can't outright. But man, am I just so disappointed that they're not going to put the effort into trying making this a CGI genie, because that would have been awesome, and Will Smith would have been a great voice for it, and a great live action capture for it. I just really disappointed that they're not going to try and make this the Big Blue Genie, which that's what it is. I mean, but I'm sure it'll still be great. I mean, Will Smith is one of the greatest actors. They're going to do a great job, but just disappointed. Definitely disappointed. Godzilla, man, the next one. Hev, yeah, I am absolutely pumped for this one. I'm pretty sure this one is versus King Kong, which I wanted them to team up in a movie as buddies first before they went at each other. But whatever, man. Like, I'm looking forward to a big epic fight between Godzilla and King Kong in 3D with a big thing of popcorn. Like, bring it on, man. I'm like, despite the first Godzilla, it was good, but it kind of underwhelmed. It definitely came under my expectations. But man, like, versus King Kong, you have like. This would have to be epic levels of failure, like WWF, WCW invasion levels to fit. Like, that's how almost a sure thing Godzilla and King Kong versus King Kong is. So they'd have to really do something special to screw that up. So I'm really pumped for that. Joker, I guess the Joker movie is gonna be 2019. I thought it was 2020, but Joaquin Phoenix is the Joker, man. I think this is gonna be a Joker unlike anything we've ever seen, and it's I can't wait. I can't wait. Like, Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. Joaquin Phoenix, one of the most incredible, versatile actors. So his take on this is gonna be really fun to watch, I think. And Star Wars Episode 9, and to me this is just a big meh. It's like, I'm not excited at all. Nothing in like, obviously the last Jedi just totally destroyed my interest in Star Wars and seeing these next movies and seeing the rest of the story continue. So I mean, I wrote up a big storyline that I basically kind of wrote a storyboard for Episode 9 that I thought could make turn The Last Jedi into a good movie and make Episode 9 an awesome movie and make this story end up as a really great, complete kind of thing. But I don't know if they'll do the necessary things they need to do to be able to make this a good. They'll get one viewing. I'm sorry. Like, I know people say you should boycott it if you don't like it, and you're giving them their money. It's like, whatever. You're gonna get one viewing. And that's really going to determine the I guess the strength of my fan. I'll always be a Star Wars fan. I'll always love it. I'll always love the movies I love in the series. But as far as going forward, it's like the quality of Episode 9 is really going to determine how strong of a fan I'll be going forward of the new content. So you guys, to the whole team, you guys couldn't have screwed up harder with The Last Jedi. But if you buckle down hard enough, you can bring it around home for Episode 9. So you got one more shot. And I don't know, some Star Wars fans aren't even given one more shot. So I really hope you guys knock this one out of the park. And also Dumbo, the live action Dumbo, that's going to be, cartoon is sad enough, seeing it in live action is probably going to be like really bad, but should be a good movie. Glass, man, I think that's going to be, the trailers are really strong, I think, and I'm looking forward to seeing that one, to see what they do with it. The How to Train Your Dragon 3, I love that series. I love the I love the story that they're able to they tell the characters. So definitely gonna be not gonna have to round up the niece and nephew. They like the series as well. So we'll be in theaters to see this How to Train Your Dragon 3 for sure. The Lego Movie 2. Also will be in the theater with that one. First Lego movie was hilarious, and I think this one's gonna be right on the money with that. So you can sign me up on opening weekend for sure. John Wick 3. What a great series that came out of nowhere. Keanu Reeves is just one of the best actors. I love watching him on screen. And, at least when I was growing up, and even in my teens and early 20s, people always kind of broke Keanu Reeves as a guy off that couldn't act. But like, if you don't think the guy can act, watch the movie Hardball. It's like that right there. It was one of the greatest acting performances I've ever seen, and he's just such a great, fun, entertaining actor to watch. So, and these John Wick movies are so, for an action movies, they are right at the top of the class. So I'm excited to see that there's a third one going to be coming out. So that'll do it for movies. Moving on to TV. I really that's the same thing with movies. I don't watch enough TV to really do a best show. Really to have a legitimate voice in the best show discussion, but I'll just kind of talk about just mention a few things about the shows that I watch. The Walking Dead, I just did a video on The Walking Dead, so most of my thoughts are in there. But season 9 was really great. I thought last half of season 8 brought the storyline to a good conclusion. I thought parts of season 7 and 8 could have been better, but I still enjoyed it. And season 9 really good, really strong, and I'm really excited for the last half of season 9. And I don't think the movies are going to be 2019. I think that'll definitely be 2020 or beyond that. But the second half of season 9, I'm really looking forward to seeing Negan deal with these whisperers. If one of these whisperers does not get beat down by Lucille, like, what are they even doing on this show? Like, it's gonna be interesting. Negan to me is really I have the same thoughts with him as I do with Jason Statham's character in Fast and the Furious, Shaw. It's like, you want to look at them as good guys and start cheering for them, but at the same time, it's like, fuck, man, he killed Glenn and Abe. Like, Negan killed Glenn and Abe. Shaw killed Han. Like, what the... Like, it's... So it's like, Vin Diesel shook his hand in the last movie. Like, it's hard to swallow, man. It's hard to swallow. And but it's like, they're valuable characters to the story. The actors are great at bringing them to the screen, but it's just like, the characters and in the story, it's like, I have such a hard time trying to like bring myself to root for them, because it's like, in The Walking Dead, you want to start rooting for Negan to start kicking some ass against some real bad guys, but at the same time, it's like, man, like he killed Glenn and Abe, so it's tough to get behind them. But it's easier for me, like Shaw and Fast and the Furious. It's just like always just kind of like narrowing your eyes, like, I really would. It's like, but it's easier for me in The Walking Dead, because it's almost like, because of the comics, TV show, Negan had no choice but to do it, because the comic Negan already did the storylines, so people were expecting it, and it's so I think it's a little bit easier for me to kind of cheer for TV show Negan, because I kind of feel like he had no choice. Oh God, kind of feel like he had no choice, and he had to. He had to do that, but Jeffrey Dean Morgan does such a great job of playing the character that he's done, and really shown what a great actor he is, being able to not only show the big bravado of Negan, like at the start, and now in the first half of season 9, showing the broken man that he's become. Totally two different characters, two different energies, two different vibes. Really great job by Jeffrey Dean Morgan. So I'm really kind of rooting for. I mean, I hope that Negan steps up and becomes like a, like a. I don't think he'll ever be able to become a Rick because of Maggie and Little Glenn, but it's. I think he'll be able to kind of be a background. I guess like a background Rick, like like knowing his place because of what he did, but at the same time, changing his character and wanting to help his who he considers now his family, and you can see like the Negan, the energy is different. The guy that killed Glenn is not the same that's on screen now. And that's because of the great portrayal. So it's very important to have that, because if we were feeling the same energy off of this character, then I don't think anybody would be rooting for him, and it'd be tough to keep the story going. I think there's a lot of positive story they could bring with Negan. So I'm looking forward to hopefully him stepping up and dealing with these whispers and in the way that I really thought, like with how the pictures and everything, I thought that way more heads were going to be bashed in by Lucille, but hopefully at least a few whisperers meet that fate. It's crazy. It's crazy to be rooting for things like that, but that's why shows like this are cool and interesting, because it's something very, very bad can be like kind of, you bring in the good out of something very, very bad, I guess, in a way. It's that's why movies and entertainment are great and important. It's like, keep that stuff on the in the in fantasy life and not real life. And so the next show, Fear the Walking Dead. And so this season 4 is really, I mean, like I said in my Fear the Walking Dead episode I did, it was if you go on the Reddit Fear the Walking Dead discussion part of it, I mean, and you listen for it, it's basically just like people are just going nuts, like ripping this show apart, and it's just like nobody gives it any part of it any of a chance. Nothing's good, no good scenes, no good stories, no good characters, and it's like it's but I mean everyone, and it's caused people to kind of really put season 3 on a pedestal. I wasn't a huge fan of season 3 and a 3.5. It was good. It was good and entertaining, but not really what I wanted the story to go with. Like, I mean, they say unbelievable things happened in the season 4, but I mean that scene where they pulled the tumor out of Proctor John, and like literally, I mean, I got to assume it would be harder than that. And then they just sew him up, and on like literally in the same 5 minutes, he regains his ability to walk and gets up, and literally after surgery like that is able to be walking around and stuff. I don't know, maybe it's possible, maybe he can, but to me that was just such an unbelievable moment. Like that should be major surgery, and I don't know. So I mean, things like that I wasn't a huge fan of, and but I still was watching. I would have watched into continuing going forward, but it's I think it's become a little bit of a revisionist history that the show was amazing until season 4, but it's but I don't think season 4 was perfect either. But I do think that they've brought in they've set up things to have some really interesting stuff happen in season 5, and I think they really have a chance to bring people back watching this show. A lot of people have already made up their mind this show sucks now and they're never gonna give it a chance again. But I just, with the cast they have and the landscape they've set up, I think they have a chance. So hopefully they're able to. I'm definitely looking forward to the show coming back for season 5. And speaking of waiting for a show to come back for season 5, Better Call Saul, man, what a great season they turned in with season 4. And this show had such big shoes to fill after Breaking Bad, but not only have they filled them, it's become a great show and stood on its own. Like, it's not, now you don't have to always compare it to Breaking Bad or anything like that. It's a show that could easily stand on its own. And it's I can't. All of these shows I just did videos for, so it's most of my my in depth thoughts are going to be in those ones, but it was just there's I can't wait for season 5. There's so much to cover. We're gonna get more Gene scenes to kind of fill in the gaps in that story to see trying to figure out what's going on. And there's with everything they set up in the finale, there's just so much fallout to go over, and it's just gonna be this show has been excuse me. It has so much talented writers and actors and moving at such a high clip that I'm just I'm so excited. I'm really glad that it seems to be kind of building more momentum in terms of awareness of the people watching the show, and hopefully that brings a lot more viewers and the show can keep going strong, and these last few seasons can be can be as best as they possibly can, because it is just, like I say, it's become a standout show on its own that doesn't just have to be compared to Breaking Bad. Like, you can watch and enjoy this show without ever having seen Breaking Bad, although I wouldn't recommend that. Breaking Bad's still one of the best shows of all time. And just finished up The Voice, and that was literally the last video I did, so we're not going to talk too much about that. But great season as always, and I'm really looking forward to the next one. John Legend's the new coach, so it's I just love singing. I love music, and this show brings some of the best of that. And I'm looking forward to the next season, and I really hope it keeps coming for as many years to come as possible. And the big one in 2019 coming up, Game of Thrones. Man, we have been waiting for such a long time. It's been such a long wait, but I know it's going to be worth it. I think every single episode this season, 6 or 7, but with each one I think is like an hour, 20 minutes, hour and a half. So this is going to be, man, I can't wait. I can't wait, and it is just sad. It's sad, but at the same time, it's going to be great to finally have a bookend for this story, and to just have the story all in one complete piece. And I can't wait. For me, I'm not obviously staying away from any theories, any spoilers. I don't want any my only hope for this is that, obviously, who's going to kill the Night King? And I mean, it's either the Night King's going to kill all of our human heroes, and the show is going to end with the Walkers. They're gonna rule Westeros for forever, and or somebody's going to kill the Night King, destroy the armies, and start moving forward without that threat. Finally, so. My hope is that he's probably going to be fighting Jon Snow, and then maybe he thinks he's got everything beat, and right before, boom, the Kingslayer, Jaime Lannister, kills the Night King, and maybe even in the same way as the Mad King. But I just think he's the Kingslayer, so if anybody's going to kill the Night King, it should be Jaime. So. But I think it would be. I'm excited to see which way it goes. And obviously they've created this amazing show, and whatever way they do is going to be awesome. So, finally in 2019, the epic conclusion of Game of Thrones. Can't wait for that. And and just want to give a shout out to Trailer Park Boys on Netflix. They are still just delivering amazing episodes, amazing seasons. And I'm purposely behind because I love to binge during the holidays, and I love to just binge. And I always I hate to work through them and get to the end. So I'm purposely behind. And there's a few certain people I like to watch. But same reason why I'm purposely behind on Letterkenny as well. I like to binge those with certain people sometimes, but I'm getting too far behind, so I'm probably gonna have a good binge here right away. But one of the best things about Netflix is that they saved Trailer Park Boys and delivered so many amazing seasons that we wouldn't have. So it's looking forward to watching the new stuff from Trailer Park Boys and Letterkenny. And Trailer Park Boys, I don't know if this new season they did if it was new enough to include like the 'Cause unfortunately, Mr. Leahy, John Dunsworth passed away. But I really, they have to give him an epic farewell, a trailer park funeral and a farewell. Like a procession through the trailer park, and we gotta, like they gotta pour out some liquor for him, and they gotta, they gotta give him the big epic send off that Mr. Leahy deserves. And it's just so sad that we didn't have more time with John Dunsworth. Obviously his love and prayers go out to his family, but it's looking. I don't know if it was on this season, but it's on the next season for sure. They got to do it at some point because he was just, it just sucks that he had to pass away. But no, I'm looking forward to binging through Trailer Park Boys and Letterkenny, and then in the one of the days and the rest of the holidays here. Then moving on to music. So for me, my album of the year has to go to Golden Hour by Casey Musgraves. She is she just continues her run of putting out amazing music, and every single album of hers so far has been great from top to bottom. You don't have to change a song; you just put it in, press play, and you're good. And there was it's just I am just such a big fan of her. She's got such a great voice. The stories she tells in her songs are just. I mean, I could just listen to her music all day, every day, and it's she's such a great, interesting person, and I just so much much love and God bless go out to her and her family and everything, because she just can't have enough great music in the world, especially the kind that she delivers. So. Just very, very appreciative, and it's very appreciative of this album, Golden Hour. It's, really, really helped get through 2018, which is not an easy year at times. So it was just really appreciative for her music. A big thanks to these other artists for their albums. The Queen, Christina Aguilera, her album Liberation, awesome album. Like, to me, that she is back with that one. That was one of her best. So many great songs on it, but it was good. It was great top to bottom, and it was just, she is literally one of the greatest singers in the history of the world, and I just love her voice and her music. So she's my girl. So I was so very happy to have a great album come out from her this year, and looking forward to as much great music as she's willing to deliver to us. BB Rex put out her album Expectations, and that was a really, really good album, front to back again. Awesome. There was lots of standout songs, but all you had to do was just put it in, press play, and it was good front to back. She did a great, great job, and this just a starting point. I think she's going to be just delivering great music for many years to come. So I love this album, and I'm looking forward to all the next stuff. One of the biggest songs of the year for her with Florida Georgia Line, Meant to Be. Like, I was awesome. Really happy for her success. I'm a Mess is a good single. I just don't like for me, sometimes if I don't like a lyric, I have to change it. So when I'm singing along to the song, for me it's I'm a mess, I'm a boozer, I'm a hater, I'm a user. So I just don't like I don't like the other words, so I changed the lyrics a bit. But still a fun single for her, but a really good album top to bottom. So I'm a fan of her, and it's nice. It was nice to see her put out a really good one. Eminem, Kamikaze, man, finally, Eminem is back big time with this album. For me, this was his best album since Encore. He was fun, absolute fire with the lyrics, and the beats were good. Pretty much every single song was awesome. This was Eminem back in business, and I was just embarrassed so many of these other rappers out there. I mean, there are some good rappers that have come up in the new generation, but the ones that have pushed out strong in the mainstream got embarrassed by Eminem. And it was nice though that he wasn't going right out and just dissing everyone. He's saying, you do your thing, I don't like it, but whatever. But it was just, in some cases he went after people. But it was just, this is the Eminem we want, man. Just that absolute lyrical. What a great job with this album, and I just thought that. Some of his albums I've been disappointed with, but this one just cranked it out of the park, and I'm really looking forward to, hopefully he's able to kind of take this style and this energy and turn that into more music, because he did just this is what I'm hoping that Eminem delivers. So it's great to see him back, delivering an album like Kamikaze, and hopefully that just leads to more stuff like it. And I know this album was 2017, but I only discovered it in 2018. But Khaled, American Teen, man, what a great album that is, top to bottom. I mean, when it is just, it is one of the best chilling CDs that you can find, man. You just put it on and it's, you just don't have, like, you just don't have to change it. Like, really great job with this CD, with this album, and I'm maybe a big fan of Khaled, so hopefully a long career ahead of it for him. But I know it was 2017, but I only kind of discovered it and started listening to it in 2018. So had to mention that out there because it was a big part of my 2018 listening. Lots of good singles that were released this year. I'm gonna do a Spotify playlist with my favorite singles that were released this year. So be on the lookout for that. But now moving on to the CFL, let's talk a little bit about CFL year in review. Calgary finally did it. Grey Cup champs. I can't stand Calgary, so I was definitely not going to be celebrating them. But as a CFL fan, nice to see some of the great players have great moments and great accomplishments. Excuse me. Bo Levi Mitchell's definitely a great player, so him getting his second ring legitimizes him in his career more. So, even though not a fan, when the games are played, definitely not a fan. But as a CFL fan, it's nice to see him have another accolade for himself. Lots of turmoil in the CFL this offseason. A lot of doom and gloom, it seems. The coach's cap seems like it's more of a Saskatchewan cap. Some teams are saying, no, we're good, this will be fine. But other teams, Saskatchewan and others, saying like, this is hurting us. We can't do it. But I think that when the team saw the way we built our coaching staff, with the way money handed out to Chris Jones and that, I think teams are just like, not every team is it's crazy to say that not every team is cash rich as Saskatchewan, the organization. So they have to put a cap on the coaching things like that, but. But I mean it definitely looks like that's the case, because it's a lot of other teams don't have this issue, but it's a big issue for us. So you can obviously who it was targeted, who it might have been targeted at. Which, on one hand, I mean I get I understand that other teams don't have the fan support, so their organizations they don't have as much profit year to year, but. But man, like this, eventually, Rider fans are gonna get tired of being, taken for granted, and they're like, oh, we can, we know Rider fans will support them, so we don't have to do this and this or that. It's like, like eventually, you gotta appreciate your most loyal and hardcore fan base sometimes. So it's, this is kind of tough. And I mean, John Murphy, but. With him just quitting over not wanting to take a pay cut, it's like, and they brought this up on the sports cage, and the guys kind of missed the point of what the caller was saying. But the caller said that John Murphy's been asking players to take pay cuts, for a year, but that's been his job for years, and yet when he's presented with one, all of a sudden, there's no way, and he storms out the door and takes his ball and goes home. And they thought on the sports cage, they thought the caller meant something else, but. It's but I understood what he said, and I actually agreed, because it's like, I mean, a 10% pay cut's not that big of a deal, but really it's not like the Riders were doing this on their own. It's like their hand was forced, and I mean, and really he has been he has been asking players to take pay cuts for years, and when they don't do it, they release them. So it's it's kind of. It really, it sucked to see him just take his ball and go home and quit and leave, because, he was asked to take a pay cut that everybody else was taking. So, I mean, we never, I thought they were doing a good job bringing in, defensive talent, other than defensive backs for last season for a little bit sometimes, but, we didn't find a quarterback under him, so, I mean, I thank John Murphy for his time, and I didn't want him to leave, but it's looking at it, he didn't find us a quarterback, not even close, and they built a great defense, but how much of that is Chris Jones recognizing defensive talent, and so whatever, we'll see how time will tell how much of an effect this will have, but coach's cab has definitely got people up in arms about it. The Mexico stuff has taken a turn. People are really using it as this is a joke. And some of the thing, I mean, if they really promised them a roster spot for one Mexican player per team, like you can't promise a roster spot to like that. Like if that kind of stuff is in the deal, then obviously I'm not in support of it. But if they're just trying to bridge, to bring our countries together and to try and give Mexican athletes an opportunity to have an avenue into professional sports where they might not before. I'm all for that. I mean, it's the Canadian Football League. I mean, we have to, we have to give our Canadian players and people an opportunity. But I am all for bringing in other countries to have interest in the CFL and to have other players that are interested in playing in the CFL. So it's. I've heard people say that, if you think there was players there that the NFL wouldn't have got them, it's like the NFL is all about having the credit yourself. Like that's why coaches get rid of quarterbacks that aren't their guys. That's why they get rid of GMs that aren't their guys. Because when success happens, they want everyone to point to them and be like, I'm the reason. I'm the coach that did this. So if the Mexican player succeeds, they'll be like, oh, well, that Mexican system must be great. And those Mexican coaches, they're going to put the success out, not on the people in the NFL. So I don't believe that the NFL is, gone to great lengths to search out, great Mexican athletes. So I believe that there is a talent pool there. And it's just, obviously they're not, Mexico is not exactly... I mean, there's lots of work before there's an environment where they're at the best. Their people can be the best versions of themselves. Not have to worry about violence and things like that. But there's lots of great athletes in Mexico, and even within the environment. I mean, I'm not saying it's just a bad place. I mean, there's lots of amazing places, but I mean. Mexico is definitely controlled by people that don't want, the best version of Mexico to be there. So it's like, and if there was, there would be lots. I mean, there'd be lots of a lot more than Mexican athletes in our professional sports. But even still, there's lots. So I believe there's a talent pool there. So but people are using it as just something. Oh, Ambrosy's an idiot with this. So it's. And hopefully they clarify that pretty quickly, and and hopefully this is the right kind of deal, and there's no kind of other things like that in there, because Mexico is a great country, and I'm really cheering for them to be able to get underneath get out from underneath the control of Satan and his Illuminati, that of all the. I just want to see the best version of Mexico, and the best version of everywhere, and it's I've seen, you see pictures and you hear stories about people visiting there and how great of a place and how great of a scenery, how great the people are, and it's like, and then you hear about all the things that they have to deal with trying to build a good version of their society, and things that hold it back, and it's just so frustrating. So it's things like giving their athletes opportunities for a bigger stage and to stand tall. That'll only help move things forward. So I think things like that could be a good thing as long as they're done in the right way, and then I love the schedule this year, man. Lots of Saturday games for the riders. I mean, I really think that CFL should try to become a Saturday league, like Saturday, early afternoon, early evening type games, and, Saturday night games in strong markets, because it's a great product, and the Saturday night lights are just bringing out something different in CFL football. So it's, I love all the Saturday games, and, despite some of the doom and gloom that's surrounding the CFL, obviously the labor deal is still up in the air. We need that to get settled really quickly, but I think there's lots of reason for optimism if we can just settle all the bullshit. And it's a great league. It's great football, and we just have to cut through all the bullshit and come together so this league can start to move forward, and we don't have to worry about just finances and teams and the league struggling every year. Like, we can finally just concentrate on the football and then the coming season. And so moving to the NHL, Alex Ovechkin finally did it, won the Stanley Cup with the Washington Capitals. And this year they're showing not much of a hangover. They're all looking pretty good. Washington's looking good, but the Jets, thankfully they've not had a step back. Everybody is looking at this team knowing it could have great long-term success, but the team actually has to get out there and do it, and they absolutely are this year, man. They're leading the West right now, and I just love the dynamic of this team. I love the players that we have together. We got goal scorers, we got playmakers, we got physical guys, we got penalty killers, we got face-off guys. We got everything we need. We got a great goalie. And backup goalies. We just got everything we need to win a championship. We just got to put it together and keep rolling, keep moving forward. So I'm really excited about what the Jets have done this season and for the rest of it. But a long way to go, obviously. Buffalo Sabres still playing really good. It looks like they've got themselves in playoff contention right now. Like I just said, long way to go, but they're definitely. It's definitely looking like they're gonna be in the playoff hunt. Prayers up for Rick Jeanneret. He's one of my favorite hockey announcers. He's got one of the most legendary fun calls. Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Brad May scores in overtime. Oh man, that is one of the most legendary, great calls. So I just he had some health issues at the game, had to be taken to the hospital. So just prayers up for him. He's one of the best hockey commentators, and that legendary call will live in infamy forever. And but it looks like Tampa Bay is the team to beat right now. They are just didn't miss a beat when Vasilevsky got hurt, and Domingue came in and just. They did not miss a beat, kept crushing, and this is going to be a scary team. And it's going to be a tough team to knock off, and I'd be more than willing to see them in the finals versus the Jets. I think the Jets, the Jets have the team to win it, but it's Tampa right now are certainly the team to beat. So we'll see if they can keep it up through the end of the season in the playoffs. And in Major League Baseball, the World Series happened. The Boston Red Sox won. And I guess I had to mention that, but the big question for the offseason, where will Bryce Harper go? Looks like one of the big rumors is the Cubs. I saw that, but I guess he liked an Instagram post the other day saying that a team that was favored to that the Dodgers might be favored to sign him. So who knows where he's going to go? Obviously, he's trying to drum up interest and trying to get that contract as sweet as possible. So it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. Yankees need an ace, man. I hope I'm not. I'm just not a big fan of Machado's attitude. I hope they don't. I'm kind of hoping they don't go all in on him, but because they need an ace. Like the Yankees, if they want to knock off the Red Sox, and if they want to be able to compete in the league, they need to have an ace that delivers ace stuff when we need it. So, hopefully the Yankees are able to Hopefully the Yankees are able to sign an ace pitcher here, or one of the guys in the rotation just steps up. There's been guys that I thought have had ace stuff that have just not been showing it consistently. So we need to have an ace. Every team needs that ace that you can throw out there when you need to get a win. And the Yankees have been lacking it. We got all the pieces together, but now we need that ace. So hopefully they're able to go out there and get it. And the Jays, man, it's gonna be interesting to see. They got to pay Tulowitzki $38 million this year to leave. That's such a crazy system, man. But it is what it is. It's so it's the Jays are starting their rebuild now. So it'll be interesting to see how long it will take. And they got some really, really great young talent coming up from the minors. Vladdy Jr. is about it should be a big time force to be reckoned with. So optimism for the Jays, but could be a rough, interesting start to the rebuild. But moving on to WWE wrestling, and it is hard to watch these days. Excuse me. Excuse me. Which is pretty crazy to say, considering the roster that they have in WWE and NXT. I mean, almost all of the most exciting wrestlers in the game in their business today are in WWE or NXT. And but it's just, I just can't believe that they that they present the shows in the way that they do. And it's they say that they could be as big as Disney one day, but let me guarantee one thing: Disney is laughing if they watch the show at the attempt and the quality of entertainment that they're putting out there. This is not stuff that kids are going to enjoy. Like, I sat with my nephew and he's going, I don't know why they're doing this. Like, he didn't he's. I mean, and then some of the humor, it's like kids it's just, I mean. Disney is really good at creating stuff that's good for kids and that adults can also enjoy. And so, there's stuff for both. There's stuff that the kids laugh at, there's stuff that the adults laugh at that the kids have no idea why. And I mean, WWE, at times, they're great at doing that. They have, there have been times where they've been amazing at delivering both. And they easily could be I understand what vibe that Vince McMahon wants from the shows. I mean, he wants it more geared toward a variety show style, and you could do that, but without doing the silly, ridiculous garbage that they put on some of these shows. It's and I mean, Disney's laughing at that. And I believe WWE could be just as big as Disney when it comes to not only their wrestling product popularity, but I think that they could be a movie studio, because they have so much talent to work with and they have resources, and but they just don't ever do the right thing, it seems. And so I mean, Disney is laughing at the attempt at this attempt to entertain children, I guess. 'Cause that's what the show is geared to. I mean, I'm a lifelong hardcore wrestling fan. I can't give it up. It's my addiction, I guess. I mean, I gotta have it. It's only background noise for a lot of it at times right now, but I just can't. Sorry, man, can't give it up. And maybe that means because of that it'll never get better, but I can't do it. But it's they're not booking this at all for adults whatsoever. I mean, but the biggest problem is, okay, you're not booking it for adults, but you're not even booking stuff that kids can enjoy. Only literally only the goofiest, silliest part of kids can be like, that's funny. It's not hard to make kids laugh. It's not. So I mean, you really shouldn't be trying. Kids will laugh at the stuff that adults will laugh at, even if they don't know what they're laughing, why they're laughing. They'll still get the laugh. So if you can get the laugh, you want to get two birds stoned at once instead of making nobody laugh. But it's there's just too much talent to really to be doing things the way they are, and it's it's hard enough to watch. I mean, it's really disgusting to watch them just be puppets for this Saudi money, man. It's literally, they murder a journalist because that's how much control Satan and his Illuminati have in the world. Like, these guys are starting to think that they can do whatever they want and there's going to be no consequences. There's nobody to do anything. There's nobody to check them. And it's like, this is basically like God showing everybody on the roster, like, this is your, like, they murdered a journalist for nothing, and you can base, like, you have, this is your out, like, and none of them took it, so and I mean, it's sad, it's just sad, man, and it makes me, that's why, I mean, really, it's such a shame. It is such a shame. But the best show of the year definitely is down between WWE Evolution, the women's only show, versus the Australia Mania Super Showdown. For me, definitely between those two shows for show of the year, top to bottom, those were the best. Easily the best shows. Super Showdown, Australia Mania, to me that had the best Shield match of all time. That Shield versus Braun, Ziggler, and Drew McIntyre. Excuse me. Especially, I mean, because that wasn't just a great match. It was a great match. The action was great, but the story they told about how Dean was, they thought Dean was maybe wavering and thought his brothers maybe he was always getting the short end of the stick, and especially with what happened with Roman, with how at the end of the match, he's about to get nailed by Braun, and Roman spears him out of the way, and then Dean goes into the ring, and then gets control and hits Dirty Deeds and gets the pin and wins the match for the team, and then the Shield, they come together and celebrate. Considering what happened afterwards, to me, it was a 5-star match. It was the best Shield match of all time. And I thought it was a 5-star match at the time. I didn't just think that because of what happened after. I thought that was the match of the year maybe for me, and it's definitely doesn't get. I'm definitely pretty on an island with that, because I saw a lot of people saying they thought the Raw match the night after was better, but not a chance for me. And I thought my opinion was solidified with what happened with Roman, because now looking back at that, really emotional story they told in the match. So, and perfectly executed. So, to me, have like that puts Super Showdown at the top, and WWE Evolution. Just so many amazing performances, one after the other. Toni Storm, Io Shirai for the Mae Young Classic Finals #2. Gonna be watching that and doing a blog and thoughts on that as well, and during the holidays. So, anybody that was wondering why I hadn't done anything, because I did for the first Mae Young Classic, but gonna be doing that. Just was saving it for the holidays, so I had a time to just watch it all in one chunk. But the finals of the Mae Young Classic 2 were amazing on the show. The 6-man tag with the Revolution Foundation versus the Riot Squad was awesome. The incredible match between Becky Lynch and Charlotte, last woman standing, one of the best matches of the year. Ronda Rousey and Nikki Bella had an awesome match in the main event, and the other matches on the show were fun. So it was just I may have put one of those matches on. I may have mixed up the cards, but either way, 2 awesome shows, 2 amazing shows, and I think maybe if I had to give one vote to one or the other, maybe I'd have to see WWE Evolution. Kind of how amazing is that? The first ever women's only WWE show was the best show of the year. That's a pretty great accomplishment, and not just accomplishment because it was the first ever. Those ladies went out there and earned it, and the show came. And then coming into the show, it was really treated as a throwaway. Like, it was not built up as a big show. It was they were promoting it, but not in the way they would promote a big show. So I mean, the ladies had to step up and deliver that amazing content. They absolutely did. So a big time cheers and congratulations to everybody involved with bringing WWE Evolution and Super Showdown, because they were 2 great shows for two people that really deserved them. The women deserved their own show, and the Australia fans deserved a big show. So it was just two two throwaway shows that probably had the least attention from The Office ended up the best. So, what does that say about current state of WWE? A few other highlights I just wanted to mention. The Kurt Angle Drew McIntyre match where he just kind of brutalized Angle at the end and made him tap to his own move. That was I thought that was really well done. That probably should have been dragged out through a longer thing, but it was really, to me, it was uncomfortable to watch Angle at the end, just try to do things against Drew, but just couldn't do anything. And then Drew started hitting him with the Angle Slam, and then finally put the ankle lock on him. And Kurt Angle is literally he's trying to relive his glory days, but he's literally now trapped in his own ankle lock in the middle of the ring and has no choice but to tap. That was super uncomfortable for me as a Kurt Angle fan, as a WWE fan. It really made me look at Drew McIntyre in a different light. So I thought that was really well done. It kind of came out of nowhere, but as always, they haven't capitalized on it at all, and it's kind of fallen by the wayside. But I thought that was a really cool moment that actually kind of came out of nowhere. Another one that Baron Corbin, even though Constable Corbin is the most ridiculous thing, and I was not a huge fan of the stuff he was doing as GM, but I thought he did a great job of delivering what they asked for and making entertaining what might not have been with somebody else. So I thought Corbin did a great job and really did a good job bringing himself out of some of the funk that he might have been in, losing his Money in the Bank and reported that he had heat with backstage heat or whatever. So I thought it was a really great way to shake all that off and just be a new kind of character, because as you saw with Seth Rollins on the Christmas Eve Raw, the guy is awesome in the ring. So it's he can really contribute. So he was definitely one of the highlights of this year, bringing something entertaining out of something that might not have been in a different role. The new Daniel Bryan, man, I can't stand the new Daniel Bryan. So great job with that. He is totally changed from the Yes Man. And that's what he has to be. He's got to change for people to boo him, and so this is gonna be this should be entertaining. It's nice to have a heel that you actually don't like, and I really do not like this. I really do not like it. I want to see him get his ass kicked. I'm really rooting for AJ Styles to really kick the crap out of him, and it's gonna be interesting to see what his WrestleMania match will be. I think he proved a lot to Vince McMahon in his match with Brock Lesnar. So he's got the WWE title, and the big Daniel Bryan winning the Rumble moment is not going to happen this year. So it's going to be fun to see if Daniel Bryan will carry the title into WrestleMania, who he'll face, and if that will be the winner of the Rumble. Who will win the Rumble? Both Rumble winners losing last year really killed a lot of my interest in future Royal Rumbles, because it's just that's such a letdown and a bummer, but it'll still always be one of my favorite things, and it's one of the most exciting things. So interesting to see who wins the Rumbles this year. And just one of the big highlights, the women. So many great performances across the board, some great promos. Becky Lynch, man, wow, totally stepped out of the shadow of the entire women's division and really solidified herself as the top. And it's been an interesting build for Becky Lynch. To me, she kind of came out of, she debuted in NXT, and to me, she wasn't around very long before she got called up to to the main roster, and Bayley was left behind. So I was kind of like, well, why her and not Bayley, or why not all of them? I really saw that really kind of made me sit back and be like, okay, Becky Lynch, let's see if you're as good as to be good enough to be called up. And then she delivered, man. She has great performances and great on the mic, but really had kind of settled into being mentioned as fourth place of the of the four horsewomen. It was Bayley and Sasha always got the credit for their amazing Brooklyn match, and their Iron Woman match, and their just the chemistry they had together. Charlotte got a lot of credit for her performances and the accolades, and Becky Lynch is always kind of and her too, but there's no more of that. Like totally just rocketed herself out of the shadows in a in an Owen Hart type way, and really just established herself as not only a main event player but the man. And I was. It definitely went over my head at first when she called herself the man or whatever, and like I kind of thought like Ronda, it's like, wow, you're in the women's revolution, you're calling yourself the man, but really she's saying it was based on to be the man, you have to beat the man, and now I'm the man. So it's like it wasn't a gender thing; it was based on the Ric Flair promo. So totally went over my head as well. So it was she's doing a great job, man, and it's just on fire with she's on fire with her promos, and I mean she's just like destroying people on Twitter. Although I thought she did not made like like the only one I didn't think she came off as 100% is Chris Jericho, and it's like, what are you doing, Becky? It's like, know who you're. I mean, like, no, just not Jericho, man. Like Jericho was like you back when he when he was doing it. So it's like, I mean, if Twitter was around when in '98 when turned heel and when he came to the WWF, like talk about his heat would have been turned up 1,000 times and he would have been on Twitter. Like, so I mean, Jericho the wrong person to go at. So but I mean, she has just been crushing it and doing a great job. So it's just been fun to watch, man, and performances like, and just even though it turned a really pathetic moment in the Nia Jax situation, turned that into her Stone Cold Steve Austin moment. Her in the crowd, holding up her arms with blood all over her face. That's Steve Austin. That's her Steve Austin WrestleMania 13 moment. That's her big, come out of your shell, become a main event player moment. So even though that's it came from a moment that was absolutely ridiculous and should not have happened, but turned into being like one of the best possible things that could have happened. And I didn't, I initially wasn't thinking that because I thought having the Becky Lynch Ronda Rousey match had so much steam going into the Survivor Series that I thought just it might not be able to regain that. But Becky is, hats off to her, and Ronda as well. She's really reacting well to Becky and starting to create a rivalry that people want to see. So it's Becky Lynch has done just a phenomenal job, and I'm really looking forward to 2019 too. And really, if you're looking at things like Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair, if that's the route they're going, that is your WrestleMania main event, and not just because they want a woman in the main event. It's because they have earned it with story and performance. So, guys like Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, AJ Styles, Finn Balor, Daniel Bryan are not just going to want to sit back and be like, oh sure, the women are going to earn themselves this main event. The men are going to want to be in the conversation as well. So should be an interesting road to WrestleMania as the heat turns up. But just so disappointing that I can't really get into it. I mean, not excited about it at all because of the way they just don't. I mean, just not, the shows are not meant for me to enjoy right now, and I don't really enjoy them for the most part. So it's just the hardcore lifelong wrestling fan in me is sticking with the road to WrestleMania to see what they'll do. But it's they got some interesting opportunities, so it's it will. It'll be interesting to see which way they go, and if Becky, Ronda, and Charlotte can keep the fire building and increase it so that they can make this a WrestleMania main event. Because you don't want it to be because the first one to be just to say that they did it. You want the first WrestleMania main event because it's a main event. It's a match worthy of WrestleMania. And right now, Becky versus Ronda versus Charlotte for the title is a main event, WrestleMania main event worthy. So we'll see if that's the case come April 7th. And talking about NXT a little bit, consistently great, but awful move on the last NXT. Like, what the fuck are they doing with Johnny Gargano and Aleister Black cage match. Like, are you absolutely kidding me that Gargano and Ciampa worked together to do the DIY finish? Like, excuse me. I could not believe that they did that. One of the greatest blood feuds that we've ever seen in wrestling that produced a 5-star match and produced like another match right underneath 5 stars and a great feud and an amazing thing, and you do this like in the middle of it? Like, what the hell is going on? Well, how could they make a big mistake like this, man? Like, I thought it was a mistake to reveal Johnny Gargano as the attacker before he won the title. The big story is Johnny finally winning the title, so I thought it should have been he goes to the darks, he does the things that Ciampa would have done to win the title and becomes Ciampa and thus loses. Even though he's the champion, he's a loser because he's Tommaso Ciampa now. Like, I thought he should have won the title. It's all a great moment, and then all of a sudden it's revealed that he was the attacker, and now the fans are like, well, what the hell, man? Like, what are you doing? So and then I think it should have been a descent like that. Like, well, I'm the champ, so it doesn't matter. Like, and like in the end, he's doing the ends justify the means thing now. So which is definitely a heel tactic. So it's like, that is a huge mistake. I loved the Who Attacked Aleister Black storyline. Thought that was amazingly well done. Until they revealed the attacker too early, I thought. But even when they did it, I thought it was still okay, fine. The storyline has still been good. But after this week on NXT and seeing that DIY finish, it's like, that is just brutal. There's no words for how bad that is. And they totally now killed the rest of this blood feud. Like, the Ciampa spit on the guy's wedding ring. Like, I mean, it was... it's not even going to be a satisfying conclusion of Johnny beating him for the title. Like, it's just, man, I have no idea what the heck they were doing with that, but it's just definitely sucks to see that they ruined this blood feud with that ridiculous. I just can't believe it. And now we got a bunch of talent being called up to the main roster, but this is not even exciting anymore. Because it's like you see guys and women get called up to the main roster and they just have no plans for them. They have no clue to what to do with them. They have no care to give them meaningful storylines, and they just flounder and do nothing. Like, they're not even excited about these call ups because it's like probably not going to get much of a chance to build a character and build a connection with the audience, and probably not. It's just not even really excited at all. But Shayna Baszler, man, has been such a great heel champion. Has just carried herself so well, and just keeps getting better and better and better as she's going. You think she's already, establishing herself as a great talent, but then she just keeps getting better. And and Jessamine and Marina by her side are just such great seconds to her. And now they just debuted on NXT TV, and they look like they're going to be, really more than solid in the ring. So just a great tandem to have the three women, and it's just Shayna's been a great champ, and it's going to be. I'm really looking forward to seeing these three wreak havoc on the NXT roster the rest of their time there, and then finally when they come up to the main roster is going to be fun to watch. But lots of talent for them to work with in NXT right now, so it's there's a really great women's scene, and Shayna has been a really great champ. Shayna 2-time done a really great job. And Undisputed Era, man, establishing themselves as one of the great factions, and really, and just establishing themselves with an awesome run. And it's, injury to Bobby Fish could have taken things off the rails, but, they added Roddy, didn't miss a beat. Now Bobby Fish is back, and now they're just not missing a beat again. It's just, these guys have so much chemistry. It's fun to watch them on screen. It's fun to watch them in the ring because these guys are some of the best in the world. So it's Undisputed Era really establishing themselves as a great faction, and it's definitely going to be major players on the main roster sooner than later, whether people like it or not, because these guys have that it factor, and I'm really looking forward to hearing Adam Cole, baby, at WrestleMania in front of tens of thousands of people. So Undisputed Era really having an awesome run in NXT. And I want to talk a little bit about NXT UK, how they finally debuted that on the network, and I've actually been enjoying it. It's, you know, good matches, some good promos, but they're definitely going to need to make some changes to, you know, grow the popularity. It's just, they're just the initial growing stages right now, and I get that. But man, you can actually see in him how bad Joe Coffey wants this and how bad he wants to succeed and wants to be a top guy, man. Like, you can actually see it. So it's great performances from him so far. Gallus, I like that, man. Gallus is good shit. It's those three guys seem to have chemistry together. They have an awesome theme song, man. That Gallus theme is vaults itself to the top as one of the better themes in wrestling. So I'm looking forward to seeing them develop as a team. They got great guys to go against with British Strong Style and Mustache Mountain, Trent Seven, and Tyler Bate, and obviously UK champion Pete Dunne. And it's Pete Dunne and Joe Coffey should be a great feud. I'm really looking forward to that. And it's you can just see it. You can see it in Joe Coffey, but also these other guys how bad they want to succeed. And those NXT titles, tag team titles. Wow, do those things look sweet, man. So this is going to be a great brand, and it's, you know, once they figure out, you know, what's working well and what's not, and they start fixing things, the brand will start to grow more and more. But, you know, I'm enjoying it, and it's just I guess my best piece of advice right now is it just needs to be I just think we need to see a little bit more world building. You know, I think we need to see because it seems like it's been the same matchups, you know, all the time. You know, I think we need a little bit. And this is why we need, you know, you need vignettes, and this is why you need interview personalities for interview segments, and this is why you need and all that stuff will come. Obviously, they're just building, but I think it's going to be a really good brand, and I think they're going to produce a lot of high quality entertainment for wrestling fans, and they're going to have their first takeover, I believe, in January. So that's going to be the first big test. And one of the things that put NXT on the map as the place to be and a legitimate promotion and brand was every single takeover delivering incredible matches and people starting to look forward to those. So if the NXT UK takeovers deliver, then more eyes will start coming on to them and just grow the brand. So it's a big moment for this first one. So the guys, everybody better be ready. And Rhea Ripley, seeing her in the first Mae Young Classic, I thought she was, one of the brightest stars for the future of the business. And she has proven that by becoming the first NXT Women's Champion. Great performances in the ring, and she just keeps getting better and better every time you see her. And she has a fantastic look to her. Just like, man, the only thing is that she is competing with Lita for the absolute worst theme music in the history of wrestling, man. Like I thought Lita's was bad, but my God, I can't. It is awful. I just can't. Excuse me. I know some people like that stuff. I could not imagine how, but that's my only criticism. She's doing a great job, and she's a great leader for this NXT UK Women's Division. And when Toni Storm is able to get healthy and come back, and I think that's going to be that's a rivalry I'm really looking forward to, because both women are great in the ring, and as they both get better, it's just gonna lead to better and better matches, and to build the brand and promotion, they need to have great rivalries and great matches. And I think Toni Storm and Rhea Ripley is a pretty important one to start out, because if this can be great, it can be be a huge building block going forward. And so for the future of all, I think the future for WWE is kind of looking bad. I think the future for NXT is looking good, and I think the future for NXT UK is looking good. Right now, man, in WWE, the pool of 3 to 4 million hardcore fans that they had that would watch and buy and no matter what has been cut down to, my best estimate would probably be about 1.8 to 2.5 million. I would say that is down to what the hardcore hardcore pool of fans is. Because I mean, WWE has to be one of the only major companies in the history of the world to go directly against what their most loyal customers want. And I mean, it's like, and that's a big reason why these fans have that have left and stopped supporting the company is because WWE books directly against what they want. And it's like, and they made it perfectly clear. We're not booking for you. We're booking for kids. And I mean, yeah, the people that are in that hardcore audience that have kids are looking, are still watching. But if they're not enjoying it, they're gonna look for things that they both can enjoy, that they can enjoy as an adult, that their kids can also enjoy. And as the further that WWE moves away from that, then the further that. The more chance they're gonna be to lower that number of hardcore fans even more, and but it's not total doom and gloom. I think they could bring those fans back, and even more than the 3 to 4 million that they were able to maintain for a good 10 to 15 years. But they finally, over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, have finally knocked that down to about 1.8, 2.5 million, I think. So it's, eventually they're going to have to stop doing what they've been doing and eventually, find a balance between, this silly, goofy variety show they want and, the good form of professional wrestling that they've been able to deliver. WWE used to be the best at sports entertainment. That's the middle. That's the doing the silly, goofy variety show shit and the pro wrestling stuff. In the middle, both of the best versions of that is your sports entertainment. But the last few years, WWE has completely said, we don't want to do this one pro wrestling stuff anymore. We just want to do this silly shit. So it's eventually they're gonna have to move back to the middle, and figure it out. And like I always say, I believe I got the format to move pro wrestling into the future for good, into the future of like being one of the biggest mainstream entertainments, anything's for good for a long term. And I believe I've got the format for that, but I'll sit on that for the rest of my life if I have to. And either I'll somehow, some way get the money to do it myself, or it seems like there's gonna be another billionaire getting into wrestling through All Elite Wrestling with Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks. Obviously, rumors and whispers, and don't want to go move too far ahead and ruin things. But if sounds like that's another billionaire is getting into wrestling again, and the more places for wrestling to be on, and for wrestlers to work is a good thing. And if this can be a success, then that's a great thing. But it's if there's any other billionaires out there that love professional wrestling and they have a desire to maybe get into professional wrestling, I'm your man. If you gave me a shot, I would not let you down. And but that's pretty much the only way I definitely would never the new wrestling format is not something I'd ever put out there. That's something I'm keeping in the vault in here, and it's. But I believe it is the way to bring, pro wrestling sports entertainment to the best version of itself, and to create a solid foundation in the mainstream that would continue for, long term. So, but if there's any other billionaires out there, give me a shot. I won't let you down. But it's Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks, and it seems like the son of Shad Khan, the guy that owns the Jacksonville Jaguars, seems like they're going to be getting into pro wrestling, which can only be a good thing. And as long as it's done right, it'll be a place for everybody to work, and it'll be somewhere for Vince McMahon to look at and be like, I got to be better. I got to make sure I'm better than these guys. and he hasn't had that since WCW. And they literally do everything they can to make sure that they never have that again. But seems like seems like it's gonna happen. And if I ever get the opportunity, I'll make it happen. So it's it's gonna be interesting to see what the wrestling landscape is in 2019 and beyond. But if WWE could change their outlook from bad to amazing, just like that. But it would they haven't shown their ability to change their philosophies or their opinions or anything like that. So it will be interesting to see if they're able to. Be interesting to see if they're able to, actually say, okay, we're not doing this right. Let's change it, and if they are able to, I really believe that'll lead to success. But they got the roster to do it, and it's just, I just want to see the best version of wrestling be out there. I want to see as much great wrestling as possible. I want to see the best version of WWE out there. So, it's all my criticisms are geared towards trying to move to that. So it's as long as WWE gets there, I don't care. And the world will be a better place if WWE is the best version of itself, presenting the best version of wrestling and sports entertainment. So hopefully we can get there. And just mention podcasts, Something to Wrestle With, Bruce Pritchard and Conrad Thompson, just awesome. And every episode is entertaining to me. And never do I listen to one thinking, oh, I wish I hadn't listened to that, or man, I regret that time. So they do a great job, and it gets me through some of my workouts and stretching. So I'm really appreciative for that. I'm appreciative of a little look that we get in behind the scenes. I know Bruce is going to defend things that he's a part of. I know that he considers Vince McMahon family. So a lot of the way he looks at things and the way he remembers things are from a positive Vince McMahon perspective. But it's you can still tell he's a good guy, and he did contribute a lot to the wrestling business, and he does give a lot of good information and tidbits. I know there's times that he's playing used car salesman and stuff, but you just gotta, at the very least, it's two fun, entertaining guys talking about wrestling for a few hours. So it's like, I mean, that in itself, I've learned that I've just come to enjoy the interaction between Bruce and Conrad. I'd probably give them a chance for any kind of type of thing that they tried to do. So it's I'm appreciative of them and all their efforts they put into delivering a really great podcast, and I hope it continues as long as it absolutely possibly can. And Talk is Jericho, man, right up there with Something to Wrestle. Gets me through my stretching and some of my workouts. And Chris Jericho has such a great interview style in that it's not always a chronological look at their life. Sometimes it's just a conversation about things they enjoy, and sometimes and the way it usually always starts as a conversation. Like sometimes it's something they have in common, sometimes it's something how they met, and that usually leads into like most of the time you get a little bit of a chronological look through of their life and career, but sometimes it's just a conversation, but that's still great in itself. And there hasn't been one episode that I've listened to that I haven't enjoyed. I haven't been able to listen to them all because there's over 500 and I want to kind of get through them, but I mean eventually I'll go back and listen to them all, but I just kind of stick into more of the ones that I like and know and be interested in, or some of them I take a leap on, but I want to get through catch up before, and then I'll go back and kind of get the ones that I missed. But so many huge laughs in the episodes, and just so many great the stories that they're able to take you through in the is just incredible. I mean, but the diversity, rock, Hollywood, wrestling, I mean, normal life, it's just it is just such a great podcast. I'm so appreciative of, I'm one of the huge fan of Chris Jericho. I've been basically a Jericho fan from day one, so I try to support everything he does. But I'm not, this goes beyond that. This is just a great content. So really appreciative of Chris Jericho and him going out on a limb sometimes to put himself out there to try and get these guests. And really I really encourage as many people as possible. Do talk as Jericho. It'll expose you to a different audience that likes to support people that they're connected to, and at the same time, and he's not just a guy that digs for dirt. He really brings out a great conversation in his guests, so it would be worthwhile. And man, I really think Jericho could be the next Larry King. He could be the next big interview. He could be the next big interview. Interview personality on major network TV, because it's like he's such a relatable guy that it's easy to sit down with him, and he doesn't really. He's able to make people comfortable and bring out he being a wrestler, celebrity, superstar himself. He knows where they're coming from. They don't want to be caught in saying something that's gonna make them look bad or against somebody. He's not trying to bring out the dirt or the gossip. He's just trying to bring out a fun, entertaining conversation. So just two really great podcasts to listen to. I wish I had more time for some of the other ones, but fortunately, these are the only two ones that I really have time for. But I just wanted to talk. Just wanted to mention those because they really give me a lot. Excuse me. They really give me a lot of entertainment, and it's I know a lot of effort and energy goes into creating them. So really much appreciated. So that kind of brings a little bit of, just different categories of kind of the 2018 year in review. Now I'm going to move on to going to move on to just talking about like a state, to talk about Canada legalizing cannabis. I'm going to talk about the state of Regina, state of Canada, state of the world a little bit, and talk about a little bit of my plans, and stuff I have thought about for the future. But so I think we're just around or just over 2 hours right now. So this would probably, if it's going to be, excuse me, definitely going to be a little bit more content. Going to be longer, so this would be kind of a good place to stop if you don't have enough time to listen to, or you're kind of sick of me at this point. But so now I'm going to talk about first thing. We'll be talking about Canada legalizing cannabis, man. Like, what a glorious day October 17th was. It was so fun to be able to just kind of treat it as a day to celebrate, post gifts and a playlist for listening, and it was just really fun to bring out a lot of positive energy around that. And it was equally awesome to see all the lineups around in every city and all the stores, and all the store owners so happy and talking about how it's so busy and product was flying off the shelves, and then seeing that continuing in the days and weeks afterwards, and then you hear about all the people that cannabis is helping, all the new people coming to it that didn't realize all the benefits, and people that have been able to get off of all their medications and relax more and just laugh more, and just all the people it's been helping. It's just, oh man, it's just so inspiring, and just so much positivity around it. But now, of course, they always have to try and put negative spin on it, and just like the bullshit impaired driving laws for cannabis. Despite an amazing study coming out, I didn't realize they were doing it. A study coming out that when I originally saw it, I thought the news article was slanting it as a negative towards cannabis, but it was actually a positive. I couldn't believe the propaganda that the headline article tried to push, but an article came out that said that cannabis does not impair your ability to drive. Like, all the major functions, speed, starting, stopping, like all that. The only things that they said it impaired were like, subjectional things, like, it was like yielding and noticing pedestrians. It's like you go drive around and people don't even know how to use their turn signal, and you want people don't know how to merge. Like, never mind, like cannabis has nothing to do with that. So, and anybody that's used cannabis knows it doesn't impair your driving. It knows it doesn't impair you or affect you even in the same way as being high on cannabis and being drunk on alcohol. Complete and total different things. So, and this study came out and proved that, which is amazing. But I knew that nothing was going to change. They weren't going to go, oh, well, now that it doesn't impair them, we're going to adjust our impaired driving laws. Nope, they're moving forward just as hard and just as ridiculous as they were before. And going against facts of an actual study is beyond ignorant, man. That's criminal. That's like there's you don't like literally facts in a study have said this thing doesn't do this. Oh, well, we're still gonna arrest people and fine people and put people in jail for this. Like that's beyond ignorant, man. That's criminal. So it's a disgrace and a crime that cannabis is still part of the impaired driving laws. But we have to eliminate control of Satan and his Illuminati to be able to get to that point, because Satan is the reason why that he's influencing the attacks on cannabis. So it's but I was so thankful for that study, because it's finally we have facts and hard evidence that can back up what everybody's been saying all this time. And you also hear about how almost every single store is having issues with the supplies, and it's mainly because of these ridiculous restrictions that are placed on them, and how they're resisting, how people that are connected to Satan and his Illuminati are resisting the legalization of cannabis, trying to make it as hard and as inconvenient and as stressful as possible. So these places are having trouble supplier, and part of the reason is they're not allowing people to supply the stores, and it's only a select few. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But eventually we're going to be able to knock the handcuffs off, and all this stuff is not going to be an issue. But it is just so embarrassing. I mean, but Ontario, man, they don't even really have, I don't even think they have a store open in Ontario, like just the medical ones. And I mean, that is just embarrassingly pathetic how hard Ontario is fighting it. But we're going to get into that a little bit later on in this. It's just cannabis only brings good things, only positive things, nothing negative. So if people are fighting against it, it really shows what version of themselves that they are closer to. Like, if people are against and fighting against cannabis, they're closer to the worst version of themselves than the best. And those are people that can't be in leadership positions. Those are people that should not be listened to, and their opinions should not be taken and put onto society. So it's just ridiculous about the fights that cannabis still has to go through to get to the public. But soon we're going to be able to eliminate all these restrictions. We'll be able to fix the supply problems. We'll be able to make sure that we get the absolute best possible strains and all of it with the most potent THC in there, like the ones that I was talking about in my legalization video. Get all that get that in there, and the cannabis industry will be the big booming industry that everybody knows that it is. And and that is what the cannabis industry truly is. It's a big, vibrant reservoir of commerce that will benefit everybody in both business and personal lives. So it's like, it is just, the people that fight against it are closer to the worst version of themselves than the best. And cannabis will help people get to the best versions of themselves, which is ironic. But it's soon we're going to be able to eliminate these restrictions, and more people will be using cannabis, and it will help them move towards the best version of themselves, and the world will just be such a better place. But we're going to get there, but it's going to be slow at first, and I knew it was going to be slow going at first too. And the prices as well, people, that was one of the other propaganda things. Oh, look at all the high prices, I mean, people do need to understand, like, nobody's getting really rich on weed. Like, that's why growing up, like, everyone that sold weed would always eventually move to cocaine, because you didn't make serious. With weed, you just made enough money, but with cocaine, you started making serious money to buy your cars and you're this and you're that. So like that's why. So I mean, like people need to temper expectations a bit with how much money they're going to be making off of cannabis, but there absolutely is room to make tons of money off of it. It just needs to be like, and the thing is, the better prices are, the more people will buy, the more people will consume, which will make you more money. So they'll figure it out. Prices will come down to a good point. The weed will be it'll be the primest prime, and it'll be the best thing. But that's coming. So now I'm going to move on to the state of Regina. And so, I mean, I really love this city, and I really want to see it and all the people living in it thrive. But man, do we have a long way to go. I mean, there are lots of great things happen in this city, but we still have a long way to go to getting it to where it needs to be and where it could be. And I'm going to start out with a recent study that really pisses me off. And it's been ongoing this December, and it's just been driving me absolutely up the wall. So, okay. So there have been a bunch of articles in the Leader Post this month in December about all these illegal rub and tug massage parlors. You know the ones I mean, like the not legitimate massage therapy places, like these places, the ones with girls that are human trafficked, that are, that under the guise of massage are, giving people, giving people hand jobs or worse, and so that the articles were highlighting these places, and to the point of actually interviewing the owners, and the owners would not say what the girls in these places did. But they did basically admit that they were all victims of human trafficking, and yet basically the comments and the way that people were acting in the article, they're basically just like, well, what can you do? I mean they're even talking about trying to license these places and trying to do things like that. Like they're basically like, oh yeah, these places are bad and stuff, but what can we do? I mean, we just have to try and license them, try to please. And I just like. I was in the middle of eating my cream of wheat, and I almost had to put it down because I lost my appetite. Like, I just could not believe what I was reading. So let's paint a little picture here. So we got cannabis stores that are selling a product illegally, that's what they say. And the cannabis stores are raided, shut down, and the owners prosecuted regularly. The stores that didn't have these licenses or whatever all got raided and shut down. All the owners prosecuted. The ones that tried to stay open were regularly raided and shut down. So all these cannabis stores, they made sure that the illegal product that they were selling, they made sure that none of this was going down. Now, they're always talking about, the police and the politicians and everyone. They're always talking about how they need more. They need more money. They need more officers. They need more. They need more. And they're always talking about how important it is to shut down all these illegal cannabis stores and all these cannabis things that are everything to do with cannabis. It's so important to battle them. For public safety, for the kids, for blah, 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 blah. Okay, whatever. Absolute garbage rhetoric, but whatever, that's what they're talking. Always hearing about that when they make these busts or, when they're doing things like that, that's the excuse. Oh, we need to do this. We need more money for our budget so that we can deal with marijuana, raiding marijuana, this and that. It's okay, fine. So you got all this attention on cannabis. Yet, in the newspaper, it mentioned that there were 11 of these rub and tug type places operating in Regina. But do they do anything about them? Nope. Do they arrest the owners and investigate all of their contacts to expose and bring to justice anybody involved in this human trafficking network? Nope. Why do they not? Well, because human trafficking is a big business for Satan and his Illuminati. So anything and anyone they control will not do anything to really destroy it. Only things they ever do are window dressing just to make people think that they are. nothing ever really gets done to actually investigate and expose and destroy this stuff and bring everybody to justice. There's nothing good that comes with human trafficking. Like there's nothing, like it just breeds evil and negativity, which is why Satan fights for it so hard, which is why he made it one of his plans, which is why he tries to involve as many people as he can in it, because it ruins their lives, and anybody that's been involved in it in any way automatically is controlled by him, because he tells them if he exposes them, no one will have sympathy for them because they were involved in something as evil as human trafficking. So that is why Satan holds on to it so much. And obviously Satan and his Illuminati have control and influence in the cities, and so obviously all the groups and departments in the cities are not going to be doing everything they need to do to investigate these things. And it's not the fault of the majority. It's the handful of people that make the decisions. Because if they wanted this stuff to be investigated and brought to justice, it would be. So if they know where these 11 places are, they obviously do. If they mentioned 11 places, they know where they are. So if they know where these 11 places are, then there should be 0 places. Because if there was no influence of Satan and his Illuminati, then there would be 11 raids. There would be owners of 11 places would be prosecuted. All the victims would receive help to escape that life and to recover to a regular life as much as they could. If they were mentally and emotionally able, the police would interview the victims and use the information that they received to continue shutting down these shops, They would continue arresting and prosecuting the owners. They would continue rescuing more victims and crushing these networks of human trafficking all over the world. If there was no influence of Satan and his Illuminati, police would be doing all of that. But are they doing any of it? No, they're not. All they do is they mention these 11 places, say, oh, what can we do? And they're just talking about licensing them, making them official. Are you kidding me? You know, it's like they attack cannabis so fiercely, yet human trafficking is allowed to operate freely. Like, wake up, people. Like, think about it. If the people that are leading our cities and countries are going harder after cannabis, which only brings positivity, going harder after cannabis than they are after human trafficking, which only brings negativity and evil, maybe I'm right. Maybe all this stuff about Satan and his Illuminati, it's not just fake. It's not just nothing. It's real, and I told you, they're not big bad monster bad guys. They're normal people that have decided to worship Satan and are using their power now to make sure that Satan's plans all happen. So it's, anybody, and it shows people that support cannabis are closer to the best version of themselves. The people that attack it are closer to the worst versions of themselves. The people that don't want to shut down, prosecute, and bring to justice and end all human trafficking are closer to the worst version of themselves. The people that want to do all that, to end human trafficking, to bring it all to justice, to shut all these things down, they're closer to the best version of themselves. So who should people be listening to? And anybody that's close to the worst version of themselves should be disqualified from a leadership position, should be removed from a leadership position. So it's time to wake up, people, because they're allowing human trafficking to be normalized. They want to license it. That is what it is. These rub and tug places are human trafficking. Nobody's volunteering to go in there and do this. They're bringing in attacked and vulnerable girls and forcing them to do disgusting sexual things. Like, that is just, it's time to wake up, people. It's right here. They're trying to do it in our own city. Like, it's time to wake up. Like, as a massage therapist, the existence of these rub and tug places already boils my blood to no end. But the fact that the city is now doing front page stories on them, but just tolerating them, allowing to exist, and knowing that they go way harder after cannabis stores, cannabis users, and it's disgusting. But it shows you that our society right now is controlled by Satan and his Illuminati. I'm not just some crazy guy. It's not just a conspiracy. It's real. And if you listen to me, if you help me do the things that I'm trying to do, then we will end that influence. We will take back control of society. We will build the best version of society. We'll be able to be the best version of ourselves. And things like human trafficking will be over. It'll be done. It'll be just things we have to talk about and prepare against. So it disgusts me, and it disgusts me that nothing's going down, and these things are allowed to operate. So I mean, hopefully good people are able to get in control soon, so we can end this disgusting stuff. And a couple other things about the state of Regina, man. The quality of driving in this city has just been declining so rapidly, and it is scary because it was already not that great. And one of the biggest reasons for people's bad driving is the lack of patience that people have, man. It is unreal the chances that people will take, most specifically the chances people take turning left across traffic or turning right into traffic like at an intersection. Turning left across traffic, probably the most dangerous the move you can make in a vehicle, and the chances people take are just disgusting, man. It is so sad that our lives have to be can be left a chance because of some asshole that doesn't want to wait 2 seconds for a car to pass by. Let me tell you something. The biggest example in Regina is the intersection at the intersection going north on the Louvain at 13th Avenue. So when you're going towards Mosaic Stadium on the Louvain, the lights at 13th, man, I've seen so many close calls at that intersection. I've closed my eyes at that sometimes and held my breath because I thought there's no way. And it is awful how the chances that people take at that intersection. So when you're approaching that intersection, you bet it doesn't matter even when you think there's no way that car is gonna go, it will try and go. But the chances I've seen there, I mean, it's getting T-boned, that's not gonna have bad consequences. It's unbelievable the chances people take, and it's one of the biggest things is because of lack of patience. And so it's for example, I'm approaching an intersection. Here's an example for turning right into traffic, the chances people take. I'm approaching an intersection. A car comes up to the intersection and wants to turn right. There's a 10-second gap from when the car gets there and should see me and think, okay, if a 10-second gap. So if they turn right now, they'd be good to go. So much, literally 90% of the time now these days, it'll be this. Car gets there, I'm like, okay, and I'm coming up thinking, okay, buddy, if you're gonna turn, your time is now. The car sits there for about 5 seconds, and then after 5 seconds, then they make their turn. All the time. And I see that a lot crossing highways. I'm coming up on the highway, car pulls up on one of the crossroads, there's about a 10-second gap. I think, okay, buddy, if you're going in this gap, you better go. Guy doesn't go, I think, okay, 5 seconds later, boom, he goes when there's only a 5-second gap. Or usually it's closer, but but this is what I mean. And it's and that is all about patience. I know what that is. It's somebody pulling up to the intersection and thinking, oh, there's a car, I'm going to wait. They wait and it doesn't happen immediately. So they think, oh man, well, I'm not waiting now. And then they just go. So it's all down to lack of patience. Now for me, I'm a defensive driver. I'm always assuming people are going to do the worst. So as I'm coming up to every intersection, I'm assuming the car that's there is going to try and turn. So when they actually do, I'm prepared. I can hit my brakes and not have an accident. But for the people that are maybe offensive drivers or are not paying attention, that the chances of an accident are so huge. And I mean, the example was a 10-second gap to a 5-second gap. I've seen a lot more these days. It's a 5-second gap to a 6-second gap to a 3-second gap. Like, it's just ridiculous the chances people take, and I don't know if people aren't able to judge speed, distance, or whatever, but like, it is insane the chances that people take, and but it's same with turning left across traffic. It's like, there's a gap and a car sits there and he thinks, okay, I don't have time. 3 seconds go by. Oh my God, 3 seconds. Well, now I do. Well, I did have time. So then they go, well, no, you didn't. You had time when you had three at the beginning. After you've thought about it for a few seconds, you don't have time anymore. So it's tough to. You have to be so careful, but I notice it so much in Regina. So like, if you're in Regina or you're driving around Regina, please be careful when you're coming up to intersect. And really, you should watch it in every city, because I mean, the bad driving is not, it's everywhere. So like, but in Regina specifically, and the specific intersection, man, going north on the Louvain at 13th, it is so like people turning left across there is just unbelievable. Even though, and also on my street, Pasqua and Sherwood, Pasqua Street North and Sherwood, man, the chances people take turning left across there, it's just disgusting. It is so disgusting. People, and like, it's just so careless, putting other people's lives at risk. Because the person that's at most at risk is the car that's going to T-bone the left turner. So I mean, it's but the left turner is the one that's creating the most risk. So it's really frustrating. But that's just the worst. The worst thing about is that we have to be at the mercy of those kinds of people. But I just wanted to mention that as something to watch out for. Road construction has been an issue lately in Regina. I mean, it shouldn't be, because we have some of the most best and talented workers, but these projects seem to be taking forever, and I think that's because, I think that's down to a lot of planning. Because I know I've heard one conspiracy people say is, it's cities, controlled by Satan and his Illuminati make construction projects take longer, and they strategically place them to create traffic headaches and stress, so people spend more time in their car, more gas, more time away from their families, more chances to drive over bad roads, to cause their cars to continue to be fixed to go in. So I don't know if I believe that. I don't I'm not but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me with everything that goes on. But, you'd hope that construction is just done because things need to get done. But, man, lately things are taking longer, and things are even being left unfinished and done half-assed. And, I mean, like, specifically, like, the road on McCarthy Avenue right now. Like, that is just embarrassing. You can't drive in the left lane unless you want to drive with your car up like this. Like, it is just, or if you want to drive way over hugging the line, close to the next lane. It is embarrassing that they allowed that to be left like that, but there's no reason for it. Like, we have talented workers that can get that done. So that's obviously in a directive kind of thing. So it is just frustrating, but more and more I'm seeing like potholes and the road being left in worse condition than it was left before. Like, when they try and fix these potholes, like, it's so uneven and bumpy, like it's almost worse than the pothole. Like, it is unbelievably frustrating. But one of the biggest things on my way to work, like, I see in front of these apartments at Pasqua Street and 15th Avenue, a perfectly fine, good road before. Then they started building these apartments. It has taken them longer to build this one small little building of like these condo apartments. Taking them longer. They've been working on these longer than they have the entire condo like neighborhoods that they put up. I don't know who owns these things, but they must be made of solid gold, because they are like, it took them forever to construct them, and they're still got stuff going on all the time, and like, but they never ever fixed the road. Like, once the original construction started, it tore up the section of the road. Never ever fixed it. Every single time, half-assed job that always immediately deteriorated, and just half-assed fix, half-assed fix, half-assed fix, half-assed fix, until now. They did it again, and now it is just embarrassing. It is boo. It is so bumpy, and you can't even drive around it. Like, it is just embarrassing. It's pathetic. I can't believe that they're allowed to leave the city, a city property and condition like that. Those aren't city condos or whatever. Like, should have seen the hassles we got trying to put up our deck and do the renovations to our house. Oh, the city was all over. We had got notices. I think 2 or 3 notices from the city about things like, but they're allowed to just tear up the road and not fix it to the point and restore it to the point that they found it in. Like, it is just embarrassing. But that that really kind of opens my eyes to, really what cities might not be run in the exact kind of way that you think. Things might not be as locked down as you would think. So it is just really frustrating that they're allowed to leave the roads in that condition. And it's when we have big events that bring people to the city, I'm embarrassed. Like, if someone drove down some of the side streets, oh my, like, you'd think that you were not in a first world country or something. Like, it is completely embarrassing. And we need to. That's why I just laughed when I guess the mayor at his conference was, Regina is innovative and it's this and that moving forward and there's positivity. Like, what an absolute joke. This mayor is not even real. He only got elected because he supported the stadium and that people will just do anything for the riders. So he's but I mean, I can't wait until we get a new mayor in place so we can actually finally move forward. And but and moving on, like, to one of the equally disgusting things, like our road conditions, but they're trying to put a bank and more in our beautiful Wascana Park, man. I'm just so out of my mind with this. Like a bank in our beautiful Wascana Park. Like, we need banks, but they should be in our business areas, downtown. Like, we don't need them in our beautiful parks. Like, what is going on? Satan and his Illuminati got some serious people that are willing to help them. If they're going to put banks in our beautiful parks, like, I just can't understand it. And everybody involved with that should be removed from their leadership positions, because that is, who wants that? What people are hoping that our beautiful park is, they put a bunch of buildings, and they're not trying to stop at a bank, they're trying to put more and more and more. Like, they're trying to destroy our landscape, they're trying to destroy our scenery, our environments. Like, what is going on, man? How are we allowing people, the politicians and everybody are supposed to be working for us. If we don't want this, why do we allow them to even be? Like, it's just disgusting. But and we need to bring back things that really helped, that were traditional in Regina, like Buffalo Days, like the Queen City X. Like, that is just, well, I don't know why they had to rebrand it. When my dad tells me about Buffalo Days and all the fun things, like Pile of Bones Sunday or something. He told me about all these fun things they would do around it, and how, and then, that involves the native culture. And it's just like, why do we go away from that? Why do we go away from Buffalo Days? And the names are so important for things. So I really think that we need to go back to tradition and history and bring back Buffalo Days and bring back all the activities and the things that they did to bring fellowship and to help us learn about each other's culture. The fellowship really needs to be focused on in this city going forward, because it's just people are being driven further and further apart. And look at the Maple Leaf Pool and like how they say that the infrastructure is to the point where they just cannot open it again. Like, it's done. But why did they allow it to get to that point without a backup plan? Like, these families are coming out saying, like, low income families rely on this pool for fun and fellowship in the summers, for happiness for their children, for some place for positive for them to go, so they don't have to be. It's just, yeah, okay, maybe this pool needed to be closed, but there should have been a replacement ready. This should be a priority. It should not be years down the road. And if there's not a pool ready, there needs to be some kind of a solution put in place until it does. Busing these kids every single morning to a different pool so they can all get there, or something like that. I don't know what has to be done, but something needs to be done, and we need to get people together and bring as many people to get this pool. Maybe it's a community effort, so we make sure this pool can be ready to go for the summer. I mean, if a celebrity needed a pool, pool installed, how quickly could they get a pool ready? So I mean, if we come together as a community, as a city, as people, then we can make sure things like Maple Leaf Pool, people that kind of stuff doesn't go away. And it's important, that's not a waste of money or time or effort or energy. Those types of things are important. Like I said, this is a great city that it can and will be great. We just got to fight for it. And that's one of the reasons why I stay here is because I love the people, I love the environment, I love the atmosphere, and I know how much potential there is for great things to happen in this city. And I want to be one of the people to bring them to this city. Hopefully I'll be in the position to have the money and the resources and things to bring great things to help grow this city and to help make it a more enjoyable place. But for whatever else, I'm still going to be looking for the type of people to vote into place so that they can. And a couple elections ago when the stadium was being built, Mecca Okochi, he was a really great candidate that had great ideas for opening up the technology aspect of downtown to where you walk downtown and you're linked into you're linked into like basically like the little downtown world, and they'll show you where everything is and what it was just so. It seemed like so cool, and he had other ideas like that. I wish that he had supported the stadium so that he could have got some votes. But it's people like that we need candidates like that are looking forward and looking to the future. And Regina is a great place. It's a great city, but obviously we got a long way to go, but we can get there if we work together and fight for it. So certainly worth it. And so now now I'm going to move to the state of Canada. And sort of in the same position as Regina, we got lots of good happening in the country, but still a long way to go before before we hit that the greatest of the great and be the best version of our country. And sometimes when you look around, we're definitely more divided than ever. Right now, we're definitely more divided. We're probably definitely more. Nice. I think we are more divided than we are unified right now. But I regret to admit that because our country shouldn't be that way. But it is fixable, and it's we just gotta work and fight to get there. And but we'll start with one of the biggest stories in Saskatchewan. But it also kind of affects the division in Canada. But the Gerald Stanley trial, and for the killing of Colten Boushie. And my position on this, once I learned the facts, was basically right in the middle. I don't really lean one way or the other, and it's not really a neutral stance, but it's a middle stance because I don't believe that you should be able to kill somebody for trespassing or for stealing, and but I also don't feel sorry for anybody that gets hurt when they're committing a crime. So it's tough for me. I can't put myself on either side. I don't think Gerald Stanley was right in shooting Colten Boushie and killing him, and even though I sympathize with why he was angry and frustrated, but I don't think he should have been able to do what he did. But at the same time, I don't sympathize with any of them for what happened because they were on there to steal property that wasn't theirs. So I mean, it's if you throw a butcher knife up in the air, you might catch it by the blade and cut your hand. So it is what it is. Don't throw the knife up in the air. Don't go on and don't steal. Don't commit crimes, and you won't put yourself in that position. So it's tough. I don't support either side. But I do empathize with both. I don't support either side, but I do see where both sides are coming from, and I can put myself in both positions because on one side, stolen property causes a lot of stress and heartaches for people. So I do sympathize with property owners, and especially when it's property that helps you in your day-to-day life in farming. Farming is a stressful enough job as it is, never mind having to worry about doing it with less equipment than you need or having to worry about your stuff being stolen. It's just unnecessary stress on your heart and on your life, and when things are stolen, if you've ever had anything stolen, it's a bad feeling. You feel violated, you feel humiliated, you feel like you just feel like you want your stuff back. So it's it's, I sympathize. I can see where Gerald Stanley is coming from. And on the other side, it never occurred to me to go steal someone's shit after on my way home after a day of fun and swimming, with my friends. But at the same time, I know that the home that I got to go home to, is not the same home that everybody got to go home to. So I can sympathize with Colton Bushi and his friends, because on the way their home that they got to go home to might not have been the same as mine. They might have faced a lot more struggles and hardships. And that might have been what led them to thinking about stealing. So I can also put myself on that side, and I realized that because of things that are not their fault, they have been, they have had a life that might not be the best, and might not be a good life. So that led them to having thoughts and feelings and influences that led them to wanting to steal something from Gerald Stanley that day. So like I said, I don't lean to either side, but I can sympathize with either side and see where both sides were coming from. And but it all comes back to people thinking of themselves as their race or culture first, and not as a human being second. And it's like if Colton Bushi, would he have, if that was a regular white kid, would Gerald Stanley have pulled the trigger? And at the same time, if that farm was a native farmer, would they have chose to go on his farm and steal his stuff? So it's it comes from both sides. Like if Gerald Stanley did pull the trigger because he was racist, then he did because he was seeing Colton as his race culture first and not a human being first. And if Colton and them were seeing him as a let's steal something from his white farmer, they might not have thought it was even stealing, because of they stole the white people stole from us, so we're just taking it back. Like this is this is one this is balance. This is not stealing. So but that comes from seeing yourself as your culture and your race first, as opposed to seeing yourself as a human being first. And I'm absolutely done with both kinds of people. I'm done with anybody that thinks of themselves as their race and their culture first and not a human being. I'm done. I've seen the human body without the skin. There's no difference. You can't tell. If you took away the skin and didn't tell people what the different races were, nobody would be able to tell which is different. So I know that I absolutely think of people as human beings first, and I think of myself as a white person second. I think of myself as a Canadian second. I'm a human being first. And when I look at other people, I see human beings. I don't see their culture, their race. Excuse me. I don't see the country they came from. I see the human being. And I know all human beings are good. I know human beings are influenced to be bad, and all the bad things we do and the negative things and the evil things are influenced by Satan. That's the only reason. And I know that some human beings have more pathways open to be influenced by Satan and his demons than others. And that's why I'll never judge another human being. I'll always try and turn the other cheek if I can. Now there's times where I'll have to be, forceful, and I'll have to be, I'll have to defend myself if people are the worst version of themselves, but I'm not going to judge people. I'm not going to ever judge someone and say you're a bad human. You're bad because you're this race, or you're bad because you're from this country. No, I'm going to judge everybody from I'm going to judge them on their content of character, and I'm going to look at them as a human being first before their race and their culture. But I'm done tolerating other people. I'm not gonna argue and debate with people that think of themselves as their race and culture first and their human being second. I'm not gonna entertain thoughts and fellowship or anything with those people. I'm not, because it's things are too important. We have too great of a chance to take this world back and build the best version of it. And how that's going to happen is everybody thinking themselves as human beings first and their race and culture second. So we have to build that world, and we can't tolerate that anymore. And so That's what I'm just not. I'm going to be looking for like-minded people, and the more we can find, the more people we can, we can turn to the best version of themselves, so that they start looking at themselves as human beings first, and their race and culture second. And that is my only focus in 2019 and beyond. My only focus is being the best version of myself and building the best version of this world. And we need to start working together and with each other, and to do it. And we all have things that we can help and teach each other. We just need to create a bridge between. We need to create a bridge between these native communities and the farm communities, and figure out how each can help each other benefit from the other. Like, I'm sure there's stuff that the native communities are doing better, that are doing well, that maybe the farm communities are struggling with, then there's things that farm communities are doing well with, that native communities are struggling with. And like the things, trade, getting trade, native communities they can offer, great, they're great at, obviously hunting, they're sowing, their labor, there's so many things they can contribute. Farming communities, same thing. Like the food you grow from farming, the sowing and stuff that the farming communities can do, and the labor. It's just, I don't think we need to be struggling apart. If we work together to try and help each other help each other bring up the things that maybe aren't being done so well in either community, man, that's how the best version of this world is created, and we'll have such a better life. Like, if the native communities could, turn, and if they needed help with one thing, turn to a farming community and say, we need a little bit of help. Oh, sure, we got this. We're actually running a little bit low on this. So why didn't you say so? We have this. That's where, or if, we really. If one community needs help building something, well, you got great laborers that could help, and you could teach people stuff on both sides, so people have new skills to help build the best version of this world. And I'm just tired of seeing the division and and sometimes the hate between the native communities and farm communities. It's just we just. And these, the reserves, done, the reserve, native communities, native cities, build these things up, the way every other city and community is, and they can just be big, vibrant places, and they don't have to just be for native people, where people then don't have the reputation of people who are scared to go there, they're bad places. Everybody is welcome. Come experience the culture, have a little taste of the culture, come have some fellowship, and if you need a helping hand, we're here to help you. That's the system, and what we need to build and bring to Canada. And it's the most important thing is building a connection to God and Jesus, because that way Satan cannot influence you to steal or kill or to take advantage of people or to have violence. And those are the things that keep people from coming together. We would build a relationship in this community, but we don't want them to steal from us. We don't want them to take advantage of us. We don't want them to hurt us, or we would be friends with this person, but we don't want them to steal from us. Or it's we have to just, if we're connected to God and Jesus, we don't have nobody has those influences to do those bad things, and then we don't have to worry about anybody taking advantage of us, and we can all come together and just not worry about the bad and just focus on the good. But the connection to God and Jesus is the only way that we can slay these demons and move forward together, and just not be influenced to be divided from each other. And our country right now is more east versus west divided than ever before, probably, and that is a big thanks to Satan and his Illuminati, because both of those are just, right now, the east and the west of Canada are just two of the groups of Satan and his Illuminati fighting for control, working for the same thing, for Satan. And the people that are in control are influencing those. They want to be in the power position. They want to be in the leaders. And the East has the main control of Canada. They have for pretty much basically the entire time. The West wants control of it, and Justin Trudeau basically falls in the middle. He's he's truly a good guy that wants to do good things for good people and wants to build a country that does that. And he has done lots of good things, but he's got to play the game, unfortunately. And Trudeau's big move was to legalize cannabis. He knew the country wanted it. He knew that that people would make enough noise to get it done. And him putting that in his platform, making it a main point, probably got him his majority and maybe even got him elected. But he knew how many good things would come out of that. So that was his big play to from the middle. To try and see, like, from a candidate that runs in the middle, you have to try and do good things, and because Satan and his Illuminati will make you push through bad things, but a good man can fight for good things to push through. You're only going to get a few opportunities, and Trudeau made one of his big ones, cannabis legalization, because he knew how much stuff would come of that. So but he also knew how much they were going to make him pay for it, and to try and discredit him. And boy, have they done that, man. Like, especially after October 17th, how many stories came out just trying to crush Trudeau and his credibility and his reputation, like, and just so much slanted propaganda about stories that weren't true, but people were really running with it. And it's just man, you could see how angry the Illuminati was that Trudeau got legalization pushed through, and that it's actually having an impact on so many people so far. But Trudeau was gambling that legalizing cannabis is going to lead to more people using it, which is going to make people smarter, and it's going to wake people up and open their eyes and just help them see through all the bullshit, all the propaganda that's put out there. And that's his big gamble, that enough people will be using cannabis and kind of start waking up, so that when the election comes in October 2019, enough people will have woken up for him to have another term. Hopefully as a majority, but hopefully, hopefully at least as another 4 years. But not it seems like, and I'm pretty sure that it's working. I'm pretty sure that people are starting to wake up, and people are seeing that even though Trudeau has to do bad things, that they can see through that he is a really good guy that is trying to do good things and has done a lot of good things, and that it's just some of the bad things he's pushed through are really big ticket items that that people can make a lot of noise about, and they do. So but I do think it is working that people are waking up. But then you see things like that Ontario elected Doug fucking Ford, man. I don't even know what to believe now, with that, because I mean, if Doug Ford, man, Doug fucking Ford. I can't even believe I'm talking about this right now. I thought I was disgusted about Donald Trump being the president of the United States, but Doug Ford is a premier of a Canadian province. That's the most pathetic thing in the world to me. It is the most pathetic thing in the world to me. And I cannot believe that an adult men and women actually physically went out, filled out a form, and physically voted for Doug Ford, man. That is so pathetic to me. It's almost beyond words, man. That is just, and I mean, that guy falls in the category of proud to be the worst version of himself. What qualities can anybody see in him that would make, I wouldn't hire him to work at my store. Never mind run my store. Never mind run one of the biggest provinces in the fucking country. That is, I couldn't believe that, to hear he was a candidate, and I was like, I couldn't believe that. I can't. I mean, look what he's doing. He's already cutting $25 million from the arts, cutting education, cutting this, cutting that. But he bought back Dollar Draft beer. You see that big stupid smile on his face in that photo? What a pathetic, man. That guy is a piece of shit version of himself. I can't believe adult men and women actually cast their vote for a guy like Doug Ford. Like our generations of Canadians died so you could vote for fucking Doug Ford, man. That is so pathetic to me. So pathetic. And I would not be able to hide my body language of disgust if I ever met a Doug Ford voter, man. That is so pathetic. There's no leadership qualities that guy has. There's no reasons why he should be able to be in a position to even be voted for. But there's no reason why he deserves a vote, and it's just pathetic that Justin Trudeau, a real prime minister, has to fucking play games with this guy. That he has to actually treat him as a real premier, because he's not. He's an absolute joke, and it is so pathetic, man. And I honestly can't believe, I am just blown. I had to vent about it, man. I had to vent about it because it's such a disgrace. It is, I don't know, man. And look at, I don't even want to say I told you so, because, it's important for Ontario to be a great, strong province. And the cuts that he's already announced, it infuriates me. And it's like, how could you guys have allowed this to happen? How could you have allowed this to happen? Unbelievable. But, that leads into now you know why Satan and his Illuminati have attacked education so fiercely. Why they have attacked the family so fiercely. So that people grow up lacking the intelligence to think clearly, and they don't care about anybody else but themselves. So it's like you attack the family, and people don't get the energy and the emotions that they need, doesn't get built right in them for whatever. Maybe for mother, father, maybe family, whatever reason they attack the family. People aren't able to be the best version of themselves. And that'll lead to a lot of the times leads to only caring about themselves, to make sure that, nothing, just making sure that they're okay, and whatever happens to anybody else, whatever, as long as they're okay, it's fine. That type of thinking goes a lot into why a guy like Doug Ford gets elected. Attacking the education means that people's intelligence isn't going to be built up to the highest level it can be. So people aren't going to be able to see through the propaganda. And people aren't going to be able to think clearly when they're being, when the worst versions of things are being presented. So it's, you can see why Satan was obsessed with attacking with education and family so fiercely. And it goes, people don't even understand what the carbon tax is, and it is pretty damn simple. Canada is now telling companies that if you pollute above a certain number, you have to pay, because it's dangerous. And these numbers are set at a level that allows Canada to maintain our clean, fresh air, water, and land. So these numbers are important, and it's important that pollution does not go above these levels. Now, these companies, instead of using the billions of profits they make off our resources to pay for it, or instead of reducing their emissions and things like that, instead of doing that, they say that, well, fuck that, they're going to make the customer pay for it. So, by increasing prices. Canada, knowing that they're going to do this, is trying to counter that, to say, okay, the money that they're going to be paying us for carbon tax, we want to use that to help improve Canada on infrastructure and stuff, but okay, since they're forcing price increases on Canadians, we're going to create rebates to try and give as much of that back to you as possible. Yet somehow Justin Trudeau ends up as the bad guy in all of this, and it's like, trying to protect our clean air, water, and land all of a sudden is a bad thing. It's just, the ignorance is just so maddening. I just can't, it drives you out of your mind. And and people are just so set on supporting a handful of people being allowed to pollute as much as they want without consequence, keeping all the profits to themselves. And it's like, that does not sound like any Canada I know. For a handful of private business people to be allowing their companies to pollute our country at will, without consequence, without paying for it, and allowing them to keep all the profits of our resources to ourselves. Doesn't sound like any Canada I know. Now Now other oil companies and other energy companies and other big companies are saying that they don't want to invest in Canada unless they can pay 0% tax. And people are supporting them, saying, man, you got to change them, let them in. We need these people. Well, these companies are basically saying, we're going to rip your resources out, we're going to keep all the profits, and we're not going to contribute a dime to your country. And people are supporting them more than they're supporting our own Prime Minister. Like, that does not sound like any Canada I know, that Canadians are not benefiting from our resources. And companies are not paying taxes for resources they're taking out of our country, so that Canadians have a better life, so we can have a better quality of life, so our infrastructure is better, so our quality of life is better. It's just like, that's what the ignorance and the intelligence comes in. People are just not smart enough to sit back and think, okay, where is this bad stuff really coming from? So it's just really, really frustrating. But Canada really needs to take the lead and take a big step forward in taking the lead on a renewable energy. Because oil is not a long-term solution. Like, even if we say, okay, fine, like put a pipeline through every single body of drinking water, and let's pollute our air at will, and let's have an explosion underneath the ground every single second of the day, and even if we did all that, oil would still run out. Eventually, there wouldn't be any more oil left. So all of these people that are in the oil industry would have to find new jobs. The families that rely on the industry have to find new jobs to support their family. Now, we know, we can't wait until that point. We need to find a better way today, so that most of our energy is renewable, and that we can use things like oil just to enhance our renewable energy, or just not en masse. At least just use oil for things to help make things better on a much smaller scale. Like, we're gonna need oil for things like that, but to use it if we can get away from fossil fuels, then the impact and the effect on the earth will be so minimal that it won't have to worry about it when it comes to oil. So, but even if they put a pipeline everywhere, oil would still not be a long-term solution. And I sympathize with families that got into the oil industry and set the long-term foundation of their family and having a job there. And when those jobs went away, well, now your family foundation is very, very fragile. You need to find a new way to move forward. And it's not like Satan and his Illuminati or shrinking industries and creating more. It's like, in this job, we're losing jobs, and more jobs are not being created. They're trying to create more artificial intelligence, robots to have jobs, more self-checkouts, more self-terminals, more like this. So like, the money and the jobs are not being replaced for people, but so I know, I saw people connecting their families to the oil industry, in the early 2000s and the 90s, when the big boom was happening, and everyone couldn't laugh at it, and the rest of Canada more when they were doing good. But I was hoping that things would last, but I saw that, oil will eventually run out. So, some of these families got to be, gotta be careful. So, and it's, we're seeing the fallout of it now. So we need to find a better way now, so these families that have connected themselves to the oil industry can connect themselves to a new industry that's going to be a long-term solution, that's going to be able to support their family for the rest of their lives. And jobs in the renewable energy industry are going to be a long-term solution for a family, because they're always going to be there. We're always going to need energy. We're always going to need that renewable energy. So it's so jobs in the renewable energy industry are going to be jobs that families can tie themselves to, because they're going to last long term. So we need to find a better alternative to oil today, not wait until things get catastrophic. And then people don't even understand Trudeau's comments on construction workers. It's like, God, people, it take 2 seconds without reacting. Like, is he really saying what I think he's saying? Like, that's what I had to do when the comments were initially reported and how everyone was freaking out. I'm like, holy, did he really say stuff like that? But then I read, and it's like, you idiots, like, what are you guys like? Okay, there were First Nations communities and other groups that have been around these camps and these construction places. They had done studies that had determined that there was more risk with all male camps. There were more risks. There were more risks with all male camps than there were with others. And I guess because the environments with all males allowed for more, sometimes more more of a negative mindset to develop, whereas ones with more inclusions of females that were, I guess, had more positive environments. But these were studies that were done by groups that around these communities that determined that. So it was, and that is what Trudeau mentioned. He is saying these studies have been done saying that all male construction camps have been said that there's more negativity that could go on and that's maybe not a good idea. And but people ran with it, like he said, oh, fuck construction workers, they're all scumbags. Like, it's just unreal. That is not what he said at all. And I mean, to the point where someone made a video about how good construction workers tip and stuff like that. It's like, man, some of the best people I knew went to the oil fields to work, and they had some of the worst stories that I've ever seen. Like hell with like literally seemed like these companies were trying to bring the worst versions of people into these companies so that they could work there. And the types of people and things they had to deal with, I was just like, my God, man. That would have been, didn't sound like fun at all. So, I mean, I don't know, obviously everyone can't be painted with the same brush, but I mean, like, these camps definitely needed to focus on how to make them more of a positive place and make the workplace a more of a healthier environment, because, from everything I heard, it was, I mean, I heard that the environment was way more negative than positive. So but that's all Trudeau was mentioning were studies, but people just took it. Just blows me away that people could miss the point that badly. But 2019 is, like I said, is going to bring us another election, and I pray that Trudeau wins, man, because I do not see anybody else willing to stand up and fight to build a country that does good things for good people, and to try and fight against the influence of Satan and his Illuminati. Because Trudeau has proved that he'll do it, and if we need to move forward with a guy that has proved it, and it's the more experience he gets, the longer he stays in, the more support he gets, the more he's going to be able to do. Excuse me. And the greater he's going to be able to build the country. So it's I really pray that he wins this election, because we need to move forward with a guy that will resist Satan and his Illuminati, because we got the best chance to take him down, and the more leaders we can have like Trudeau, the better. But I mean, by all means, like if you want a country that like Trump's USA, if that all looks good to you, if white supremacy looks good to you, and the toxicity that exists in the U.S. right now, if that all looks good to you, then vote Conservative. I mean, that's what you're going to bring to Canada, and that's the environment. And I mean, look, they got power in Manitoba and immediately closed hospitals. They get power in Ontario and they immediately cut services to art and education and things like that. So I mean, go ahead if you like Trump's America. I mean, yeah, vote for Conservatives. This is not a game. This is not my party against your party. This is about real life. This is about good and evil. This is about who actually does good stuff. And this is just about facts. And the fact is, Justin Trudeau is a good man that tries to do good things, that is fighting against Satan and his Illuminati. And it's and a lot of people are very gung-ho about Conservatives, but this is not a game. It's not my party versus your party. It's just about what's best for Canada. And if you like Trump's USA, vote for Conservatives, I guess. And if you want Canada to be the whipped dog of the world, then vote NDP, because that's what we're going to be. Canada would stand up to no one, would not stand up to the influence of the Satan and his Illuminati, and we would just sit back and let everybody, other countries, take the lead and sink in somewhere in the middle as the whipped dog, the happy to be here crowd. So this is a very, very important election, and It is this is the best chance we've had to take down Satan and his Illuminati. So we need to have somebody in power that's going to fight against their control. And Trudeau is the only one that's proved it at this point. So now I know he was gambling that legalizing cannabis would cause more people to use it, and like I say, to get smarter and to enable people to see through the bullshit. So if it worked, then he's going to be elected again, and we'll continue moving forward towards the best version of Canada. And but if it didn't work, then I'm sure he would say it's worth it with all the people that it's been able to help already. But if you think for 1 second that the Conservatives would not go back on all the cannabis legalization, and they would not all try to undo all the legalization that's moved forward, think again. Like, they will try, and if you think there can't be more restrictions put on it, there will be. So cannabis legalization is the way we start moving forward to the best version of this world. And so if you want to take a step back, and if you think that they won't take a step back, they absolutely would. So this is a really important election. I just pray that Trudeau was able to get enough votes to win it again. But like I said before, I think it worked, but seeing things like Ontario and stuff make me a little bit nervous, but I think it worked, but only time is going to tell. And you can see that the East has had main control of of Canada with all the equalization payments and stuff. I mean, with all the industry and resources in the East, especially in places like Quebec, yet they get all the cash, it makes no sense. There's no explanation that can make sense about it. And I would love to see where every dollar is traced, to see where it actually goes. Every single cent. I would love to see exactly where it goes, to see where all this money goes and why it needs to be equalized. So why all these Eastern countries are so hard up for cash that all of it needs to go back there, and none of it can go into fairly being spread around to our country. You think about how much it would help our country to spread all of that equalization around fairly, and how much better we'd be as a country and as a people, and how much better our quality of life would be. But if all that money was spent around the country fairly and properly, but that's not the way it works right now. So that's why it's important for guys like Justin Trudeau to stay in power. If you think that he's not a guy that would allow us to change that system and make it more fair, then man, it's crazy. He's the only guy that would allow us to get there, and that's one of the most important things. So it's important that we keep Trudeau as the leader and move forward with that. But East, you see the East, they get their oil from places other than the West, so that the West doesn't gain more power. It's all about trying to gain power within Satan's Illuminati. Like, East has the power, they get the oil from elsewhere, so that, they're the other parts of the Illuminati are not in Canada, so they only have to worry about the West, and as long as they're getting the equalization payments and getting their oil from other places, then the West will be second and the East will be first in power. But it's just infighting between groups loyal to Satan and his Illuminati, and we're all of our resources and all the money we could be using to create the best version of this world and a great quality of life are being used for their little games. So that's why it's so important that we take back control. And and just last thing about the state of Canada, it's so important to keep a person like Justin Trudeau who will fight against the influence of Satan and his Illuminati in power. So we just have to do that. We have to keep him in power, and I pray that 2019 brings great news with the election. And now moving on to the state of the world. Thank you everyone for sticking with me. I know this has been a long haul, but definitely worth it. So state of the world, so across the globe, it's really a mix of progress and people waking up to everything that's going on versus Satan and his Illuminati pushing hard and seeing their influence succeed. And in other places around the world. So that is also why it's very important to keep a leader like Trudeau in as in power, because with USA compromising itself with everything that they have with everything that has gone on, especially since Trump. I mean, even before Trump, it wasn't sunshine. Wasn't all great, but everything since Trump. I mean, Canada is now the leader of the free world, so we need a leader that is going to do the things that fall in line with being the leader of the free world. And but we desperately need a candidate in the next U.S. election to emerge that is willing to fight against the influence of Satan and his Illuminati and deliver good things for good people. Because the U.S. has taken such a step back, and now the human rights things that are going on with the immigrants and refugees. I mean, a 7-year-old girl died of a cardiac arrest. Like, are you kidding me? Like, because the conditions were so poor that her little heart gave out. Like, that is what's going to be in history books, and that is going to be that's part of the legacy of the USA now. Like, it's not liberation, it's not just freedom, and now it's a little girl died of her heart failed because the conditions that she was placed in the U.S. were so poor. I mean, for the U.S. to be fallen so far is a very, very sad state of the world, and thank God, still has His plan, and is still gonna move, and still is, still has His plans to move forward, because we would be in a very, very bad place with the fall of U.S. from the leader of the free world. So we desperately need a candidate that is going to step back into that role and push the U.S. back in. But see, Satan and his Illuminati know that they've done so many bad things, like the taking heat away from the low-income people, and those restrictions about hunting and letting people hunt hibernating families. They've done so many little things like that no one person's going to come back and undo everything. They just wouldn't. Even if they undo 75%, still 25 bad stuff was allowed to continue and go forward. So, and that's why it was worth it for Satan and his Illuminati to put a guy like Trump in that would not resist them at all and do whatever they needed to go forward. So it's we desperately need a candidate that will fight against their influence and try to put the USA back in the conversation of leader of the free world. And it's because we need them. We need the USA strong. Canada and the U.S. strong together is the only way we get to the best version of this world and take down Satan and his Illuminati. So we desperately need that. We desperately need a candidate to emerge. And this is just right now is the best chance we've ever had, and we're probably ever going to have as a society, to take down Satan and his Illuminati, take back control, and take control of this society that, even though Satan kind of built it, it would be very easy to change it so it does good things for good people and solidify that for long term. So this is our best chance to take control of it, and our best chance is to elect similar leaders to Trudeau in as many other countries as possible, as many leaders that are willing to fight against the influence of Satan and his Illuminati as possible. Then they can start building those countries into the best versions of themselves, and then people are not going to have to run away from their own countries. They can help contribute and build to their own. And if they do want to immigrate to other places, it's because they just want a new experience, or they just want for a positive reason, not a negative reason, like they're running for war or famine or something like that. So it's the more we can get, we need more good leaders in these places, and just the more we can get them in, the better. But we desperately need the USA to step up with a great leader in this next election. And so the United Nations is a big term in the news a lot these days. But you really need to understand they are not the tip of the food chain, and they would be more in the middle, and they actually do a lot of good in the world. They do a lot of good work when they're not being used to cover for the evil influences of Satan and his Illuminati. Like Satan does use them a lot to try and cover some of the bad stuff and try to push forward some of his bad things. So they do have they have a lot of don't have a good reputation in conspiracy circles or whatever, but they actually aren't as bad as some people might think, and they're definitely not the top of the food chain. And right now, they're using United Nations to push immigration and refugees, and just have countries open their doors. Which, I mean, it's not a bad thing to help people that need help, but except most or pretty much all the places that people are leaving from are under the influence of Satan and his Illuminati, creating the reasons that people want to leave. War, famine, terror, no jobs, no pay, no quality of life, excuse me, etc. All things like that. All because of Satan and his Illuminati. So if we stop them, we eliminate the reasons that people leave. And people don't ever have to leave their homes unless it's for a positive reason, like I said, for the right reasons. But but you know that's but by embracing immigration and refugees blindly without saying, well, you know what, we're going to help you, but we're also going to focus on stopping the reason that you had to run and leave your home. Like we're gonna help you fix the problem so that your home can be a great place and you can go back there and live there. And you know, and if you want to live here, that's fine. We'll welcome you and we'll embrace you. But you know, that's your home, and bad people turned it into a bad place. So you know, if we can turn it into a good place, we're gonna help do everything we can to do that. So that's the only reason why it's kind of not a good thing, because it's, you know, we want to stop people running from their homes as opposed to, you know, not worrying about that and just pushing people everywhere. But the way things are set up right now in the world, the food chain of global control goes like this. Goes at the top is the League of Nations. Next on the rung is the Council on Foreign Relations. Next on the rung is the United Nations. Next rung is the Trilateral Commission. And then the lowest rung is the Bilderberg Group. Now, in conspiracy circles, you hear everything about the Bilderberg Group. It's such a big thing. Every year they try and send people to expose it, blah, 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 blah. But it's the lowest end on the total bull. It's you know, it's the lowest part of the food chain. It's really just you know, it's really just a joke, nothing. You know, it's the food chain. You know, the United Nations falls in the middle, but you know, it's just wanted to put that out there and let people know about what the food chain for global control kind of really is. And that really is like Satan and his Illuminati. You know, like, so, you know, it's, if you wonder how they control the world, that's how. But how they stay in control is the system they set up, which is two classes: the ruling class versus the working class. Now, you heard the terms 1% and 99% a lot during the Occupy Wall Street times, which is actually a really great movement that was quickly clouded over to mean something else. That was, you know, based like Wall Street, you know, that is obviously big business for Satan and his Illuminati, but it's purposely made complicated so normal people don't understand it. They can't get involved in it. They can't, they have to, you know, they don't understand it. It's purposely made complicated. So Occupy Wall Street is basically saying, like, we have every right to be here too. This is not just some, you know, you guys, this isn't your own little world where you just play, you know, you get to play ruler of the worlds or anything like that. You know, like, we get to know what's going on and see what's things. So that's kind of where it started, and then it became more of a, you know, just a different kind of a movement. But you heard the terms 1%, 99% kind of really came into the mainstream during that time. And but those terms are based on the ruling class versus the working class system. The ruling class is the 1% that takes 99% of all the wealth and resources and things. And the working class is the 99% that splits the 1% of what's left of the wealth and resources and things like that. And so you see the ruling class does not believe that they're bad. They don't believe they're the bad guys. They just believe they're better than the rest in the working class. So, you know, that's why, and so they believe that it's their right, that it is right for them to have more and have a better position, to have an easier life. Because that's the way it's supposed to be. They're the ruling class, we're the working class, and we're the ones that are supposed to just, you know, just do the work and be happy with the scraps. And And that's why they don't feel bad about all the money that they steal that belongs to us. When these CEOs get all these big bonuses and payouts where all the workers get nothing, they don't feel bad. They just feel like, like, oh, like we're the ruling class, so we deserve this. And the working class, you just got to work for what you have. Like, they don't see it as a bad thing. They don't see themselves as the bad guys in this. Like, they just see it as the way the world works. It's what's right.